Well, they took my mugshot. It's a big, beautiful mugshot. Look at it. I call it the Mona Lisa of mugshots. It's incredible. Look at that. It's like my phone calls. It's a perfect mugshot. So perfect and so beautiful. You know, many people say that they have a good side and a bad side. I only have one side. It's called my great side. They got my great side with this mugshot. It's a beautiful picture of a very handsome guy with wonderful hair. Such a beautiful mugshot that Hunter Biden may want to paint a picture of it and sell it for a lot of money to Russia, or China, or even Ukraine. You know about it. Such a perfect, beautiful, highly respected mugshot. The greatest mugshot in the history of the world, believe me.
Well, that guy is so good. I mean, I could just listen to the guy go for days, man. He's so good. It's not even funny. I mean, he's just so impeccable.
But he nails the essence of them. It's astounding. And apparently Trump has had a conversation with him before, and Trump has said that he's the best that he's ever heard.
He's unbelievable. He's unbelievable.
But I was like, okay, we've got to start with that. I mean, obviously, that's the elephant in the room. Something kind of happened yesterday. And while I was on another show, we came up with this poster. That was Tim Pool's idea, which I think is absolutely perfect. Taking the Obama hope theme and turning it into revenge, which goes beautifully with that expression.
You know, I was watching a movie last night called Celebrity. I hadn't seen it in 1998. Woody Allen picture with tons of celebrities. It's a send-up of celebrity, obviously, called Celebrity. I mean, there's a lot of people in there. I don't have to give you the whole cast, but there's hundreds of celebrities. And there's a party sitting around with a wedding scene with Judy Davis, and she's getting married in this Italian family. And the mother of the family, they're having a conversation, and she's saying, "Don't worry, he's not a hostage," and this and that. She goes, I like my heroes not to be hostages. And I'm going like, where did I hear that?
Oh, man.
No, this is in the scene in the movie. Just a throwaway line. I don't like my heroes to be caught and become POWs. And I'm going like, what the hell? Cut to Atlantic City. And there's a boxing match. And then they cut to this party at Elaine's where it's just going around the table, different celebrities. And they come to a table. And I mean, there's a lot of celebrities in the scenes, which is Woody Allen called in all his chips to get a bunch of celebrities in there. So they come to a table. There's like 5 girls and a guy there. And it's Trump. And Trump is sitting at the table. And it's a Barbara Walters impersonator, Judy Davis becoming Barbara Walters. And she's going around celebrity restaurants, which is what Barbara Walters did before she was on ABC. She actually went around to restaurants with a camera crew interviewing people while they were eating, and this upscale New York restaurants. And she became famous and knew all these people. So Judy Davis goes, "Oh, here's Donald Trump." And he goes, "What are you up to, Donald?" He goes, "Well, I'm buying St. Patrick's Cathedral. I think it's going to be a tear down. I'm going to renovate the whole thing." And anyway, it was just an hysterical line by Trump. This is like 30 minutes after the reference to the hostage hero thing. And I went, "Oh, that's where he got it from Woody Allen."
Well, that makes sense.
It was word for word.
Oh, and it might be even a case that he might have forgotten where he got it. You know how that goes.
Yeah.
You get exposed to a line later on, you go, pops in the head. So that is crazy. But let me see. Okay, so we've got some different headlines to talk about. See, a good news one here, because the
Andy Ngo story, yeah.
Yeah, well, this is a nice follow-up, because the other defendants with Andy Ngo got off. And, of course, a bunch of lefties, everybody's going around there like, ha, 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 ha. They got off. Antifa got off. Andy Ngo didn't get it. Well, he got it. $300,000, if I recall, split 3 ways.
$100,000 a piece. But the fascinating part for me were the names of the defendants.
Oh.
And if you see the names of the defendants there, I might have the article over here somewhere. I just want to read them out loud because these are crazy Antifa people. I doubt he's ever going to.
That's right. That's right.
Right. That's why I like the article. But in the virtual court session on Monday, this is the judge's name. The judge's name is Judge Sinlapapasi. So you just go, all right, that's bizarre. But that's, it's up there in Portland. Judge Sinlapapasi found Corbin Catherine Balea. So it's Corbin Catherine, it's a male name, female name, Balea, Madison Denny Lee Allen, and Joseph Evans. He found him responsible for the assault and battery. But Joseph Evans has currently changed his legal name to Samich Overkill Shot Deputy. Let me just repeat that. Joseph Evans is now Samich. I don't know what Samich means. Overkill Shot Deputy. So this is who he was up against, and he was responsible for assault, battery, intentional infliction of emotional distress, $100,000 apiece.
Now, I know you said they probably won't get it, and everybody's going on. It's like, well, they're a bunch of losers. They don't work. They're itinerants. I still see it as a victory. Number one, it is a victory. The headline is there. It is a clear verdict in his favor, no question. Okay. But number two, so what? If they ever try to get a normal job, he owns them. They're his slaves.
They're never going to get a normal job
forever. Well, good, then they can't because of this. And
they'll change their legal names again, so this will never come to fruition. They had subpoenas to appear in court. They didn't even show up. There was nobody even in the courtroom.
Well, I think they didn't show up because they might have been turned over to a deputy with criminal. They're probably like,
it's hard to be turned over to a deputy when the court case is virtual, which they're still doing up there. So it's hard to be manacled and taken away in your own underwear in your own living room, which brings me, but it's still, I mean, it is a victory, quote unquote, of some sorts up there in Portland. It's like winning the Super Bowl, I guess, Eric, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, considering they're one of the places that like to make crime legal.
Well, it is legal. They didn't even show up, and there's no warrant for their arrest. They've changed their names a dozen times to shoot and kill deputy. Good luck collecting. But you're right. I mean, in theory, there's a lien against them if they ever got a job, which is never going to happen.
Well, and also if they're trust fund babies, then their parents might have to cut a check. So a lot of these punks are rich kids. That does happen.
You call them punks? Are they punks only?
They might be. They might be.
I was watching Hunley on Tim Pool yesterday. I'm sitting there going, this is a pretty entertaining show. I mean, Hunley, they're looking at Hunley as the old professor who comes in like with a bunch of kids going, hey, Hunley, can you answer the questions? I mean, it was fun to watch Hunley on another show.
It was different. It was a cool experience. They've got quite a setup there. And I mean, I admire the guy's operation. I will tell you, one thing I say about Tim Pool, some people love him, some people don't. He has got to be one of the hardest people I've ever seen. He's working about 8 in the morning to 11 at night every day, and he's been doing this for years. So it's really hard to begrudge somebody's success when, they come in.
Who begrudges the guy's success? Does he have?
A lot of people are like, he's just a stupid young rich guy, this and that. He has problems in the town because his politics are a little right or something. Like, what was it? They have this skate park, right? He's into skateboarding. So they had this contest. It was a DIY skateboarding contest. And he was like, cool. And they're like, hey, you going to show up? You going to show up? He's like, yeah, you know what? I'm rich. I'll donate $20,000 in prizes. $12,000 for the first place, $8,000 for second, and
wow.
$6,000 for second, and like $2,000 for third. And then they said, you're not allowed to come here. You're banished from it. And I'm like, are you kidding? What? You get some young, some skateboarding kid. They probably don't have a lot of money. I'm sure they would dig getting $12,000.
Why did they ban him?
I think that they were embarrassed because they're like, I guess somebody on the side who was reasonable said, yeah, well, we really can't put that kind of thing together ourselves. I'm like, okay. Weird. So why are you bitching? I mean, you could just say, hey, we brought in a benefactor. Hey, he's partnering with us. I don't know. But anyway.
You're saying because of his politics or something.
Yeah, that, and I think because of the money, that they're ashamed.
Wow.
There's a weird mindset of some people when it's like, oh,
You're
you're
saying
just trying
some
to.
people or the local government?
Some people out there who are like, oh, you just want your name on that building if you donate money, or you just want your name. I don't like you. And my thought is, do you want the building? Put their name on it. What's the big deal?
Mm-hmm. Well,
I mean,
I just drove by Al Capone High School, and he did put a
okay,
lot of money into that school. He deserves
which
it.
is good.
I mean, we've got David Geffen, a library here. I mean, you got to see the names of the scallywags that have put their names on these things. I mean, obviously Spielberg is a lot of places, but we've got some strange buildings named for benefactors out here.
Well, and I mean, it goes way back. Carnegie, how many libraries did he build?
I don't know, but there's Carnegie Hall.
Absolutely.
You know how you get to Carnegie Hall from here?
Practice.
Okay, so you went into the pool thing,
yeah,
and then you had a good time. You talked about the issues of the day, which obviously was
one issue of the day. Really,
it was one particular issue of the day, and my question is, like I said yesterday, I don't know if you brought it up or somebody brought it up. Why do they keep turning themselves in?
I asked them that too, and the consensus was there that, well, they're Republicans, and we talked about. I don't know if you saw that part, but Tim Pool actually yesterday was talking about the leftist tactics because he used to be involved with Occupy Wall Street and things like that.
Right.
And he was mentioning like one tactic they use when doing civil disobedience or planning a riot is they have like the ABC and crew. I don't know if I'm describing it perfectly, but he said, like you have one group that's quote green, and that's all the newbies. That's the one that's like, hey, come on down. We're going to go ahead and have a protest. And he said they're clueless. They have no idea what's going on. They're just going to go hold pickets, blah, 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 whatever. Then you have the yellow group, and they know what they're doing, and they're kind of controlling. And then they have like the red group. The red group are the ones who will sit there and sneak in behind the people who are the pickets, who are just the newbies, whatever's going, and they chuck a bottle to make sure it hits the cop head, and then the cops go off on the dummies in the front who have no idea what's going on, and they're like, what are you doing? What are you doing? They get beat down and everything else, and it's a deliberate instigation. And you say it's a system they've worked out. Then they recruit those people who were carrying the pickets out of the jail and say, look at that. You're peaceful. You're doing everything great. And that's what these monsters do to you. So I had talked to him about that, or brought up how you were saying that the right doesn't do the left tactics. And they pretty much agreed with me that the right and the conservative side is all about dignity. And, they're above that. And
weird. It's so weird.
It's got to change because, it's like, I'm not going to sink to that level. And my point is that, well, if you don't hold any ground, you're going to be below any level. They
can have all the dignity they want in the metropolitan county facility in Washington, D.C. in a jail cell. Yeah. I mean, there's all your dignity. That's where it got you, being dignified and not fighting back. I mean, Pool's right. I mean, I got to get with Pool and do some conspiratorial stuff because he knows tactics and I know some tactics, and there's got to be thousands of others like us who've come over. We should, instead of the Lincoln Brigade, we should call it the David Horowitz Brigade of people who've come over. People have come over from the other side. We call it the David Horowitz Brigade as a working title.
Well, that came up too. Actually, Tim Pool said that the right has some degree of hope because of leftists that have come over. And so, perfect point on the Horowitz.
Yeah. I mean, look, we've discussed Horowitz before, but the fact of the matter is, these people are turning themselves in like lemmings. I don't understand why are you making this job easier for them? Not only are you making it easier for them in Fulton County, you're also validating the action. By your action of turning yourself in like a lemming, you're saying that what they're doing is absolutely above board. No, I disagree. Well, that's what it is. Doesn't matter if you disagree. Your activities, your actions, what you're doing are what is seen by people. Go for the governor of the state, make him extradite you. Make the governor have bloody hands. Maybe he wants to do it. Great. Drag his fat ass into it. But don't take a plane ride to Fulton County and turn yourself in, bro. I mean, look what happened to the black dude who turned himself in.
And Temple mentioned that too, that they're slow rolling it. He said, the first people, it's like, they go in and out. And then now, boom, they've just grabbed one and kept them. Yeah. And that's what you were worried about. But what about Trump on that? Using that same argument.
I could use the same argument. I believe the same argument applies. You're validating their illegal action. For the love of God, don't go into the ovens. I mean, fight back like the Jews did, and have an uprising of some sort. Just don't walk in there into the showers, for Christ's sakes. I mean, they're not letting that black guy out. I mean, go to January 6th, see how they feel about it. Do not comply. I mean, that's the minimum. Even if you're not a bomb-throwing Weather Underground member, at least do not comply. Is that so difficult?
Yeah.
I don't understand why they have to comply. They get a letter, like you were talking about yesterday. Jim Jordan sent out a letter to Fannie Willis.
Strongly worded, Mark.
I mean, you're right. They're probably laughing their ass off. The only thing that matters is a jail cell. And yet appears to be, even with Trump when he was in power, could not find an attorney general willing to do the justice of the country. I mean, there's got to be some sheriff in town. I mean, for the love of God, find somebody who will lock people up.
Yeah, and the question too, because politically it would help Trump too, in the sense of, okay, if he said, screw you, you're wrong, that's bullshit charges, what are you going to do about it? Are they going to extradite him? Trump lives in Florida. Now DeSantis has to choose. Are you going to extradite your competition, buddy? And it would force him to stand up, because did you see that, his hand raise in the debate?
I didn't watch the debate, but you told me that the guy.
Yeah, in the debate, the question was asked, if Trump is convicted, will you support him and elected? Will you support him as your president? And Vivek, boom, immediately went up. Believe it or not, Nikki Haley went up and a couple others. And then Ron DeSantis did the most cowardly chicken shit thing ever, where he went like this. The crowd went, raised up. And he looks over.
He did the look around.
Looks to his left.
Yeah.
And not only that, he goes.
That's leadership for you, people. That's leadership. He did what's known as the look around in the debate to see who else was doing it. But I mean, forget about those guys. I mean, they're finished. They're toast. I don't want to waste any time with those mutts. I mean, they're done. The reality of it is, I mean, complying. Thank you, Sherry. Complying with the small county prosecutor. And I know Fulton County is not a small county, but compared to LA County, everybody's a small county. And we got 10 million people in this county. And that shit wouldn't fly here. I don't think anybody would turn themselves in LA and California. I mean, if Gasson indicted somebody in Florida, what am I going to do? Pack my bags and drive to LA to turn myself in? It's outrageous. It's outrageous. Why are these people cooperating? What if it's the guy from some county up in Washington State who indicts Trump next? What if it's the guy from Wisconsin, from Milwaukee County? Are you going to just keep driving around, flying around the country, turning yourself in? Is this? I mean, I don't want to get upset at him, but the reality of it is, I mean, obviously the whole thing's insane, but don't comply. What kind of legal advice? And I know your lawyer is manacled right next to you, so I mean that's kind of awkward.
It's chilling. I mean, no, it's chilling. You're literally locking up lawyers. What? And Jenna Ellis, a lot of people think she's incompetent, did crappy things or whatever. I agree with them. She's just his lawyer. She wasn't even part of the supposed plot. It's like, you're his lawyer.
You know what I would do? I would just go about my business, ignore the entire thing. If the press asked me something, I would just say, talk to my attorney. And I would just go about my daily life, make them come and get me. What county line is she going to cross, Fannie Willis, to come and get you? I mean, where is she going to go? She is going to send a request if she's got balls, which apparently she does, she's going to send a request to your governor, right? So your governor could then send state troopers. I remember there was a district attorney in Orleans Parish in 1967 who wanted certain witnesses to come and testify in a grand jury hearing. And Ronald Reagan said, I'm not sending you those witnesses out of California. I'm not honoring your extradition. Now, that being said, other governors didn't honor the extradition for Jim Garrison either out of Orleans Parish. That's what I think that these people should do. Look at history. That's why we're covering this crap, people. Apparently, they're not watching the show. Because if they would have watched the episodes we've done on Garrison and everything else, you just don't comply. You don't comply to the demand that you turn yourself in some county in the United States. It's outrageous.
And what about, okay, because you were complaining that they were late on it, which I totally agree. What about my idea of why the hell wasn't Fannie Willis in front of Congress on Thursday?
It takes months, right? It takes months, bro.
Well, it can go fairly quickly.
Right, it can, but they're just sitting on their hands. They don't want to get involved, bro. They don't want to. She'll turn around and indict Jim Jordan. Jim Jordan will turn himself in just like a zombie retard. These people are zombies. They're zombies. You know, you get a letter in the mail. If you're on the conservative side, you get a letter in the mail. It says tax error in our favor. Pay us $600,000 more. They write a check. You know what I mean? Turn yourself into this committee. They turn themselves in. I mean, at some point, you got to throw yourself on the machine. You know, as the free speech advocate said in Berkeley in 1966, it's enough already. Stop complying at a minimum. At a minimum, you don't even have to get off your fat asses. Just don't comply. Is that too much to ask?
Don't make them work.
What's that?
Make them work for it.
Yeah, make them work for it. I mean, look, the left, I hate the left. Yeah, but Poole's talking about tactics, right? For left. The left for decades and decades and decades have had ceremonial arrests where celebrities would show up, get ceremoniously arrested for an incident, for a cause. They can't even do that on the right. They can't even get arrested for anything at a sit-in. They can't even have a sit-in. I mean, it's astounding. The ability to do nothing is startling. And I just got here, so I don't know. But I mean, Tim Pool's having the same culture shock I'm having. So is Jimmy Dore. So is Blumenthal, and I'm sure Matt Taibbi. But I mean, it's shocking to me how they comply like lemmings. I can't get over it. Never mind, not organizing a protest, not having a sit-in. It's just I'm going to go to church. I'm going to pay my taxes as if nothing's wrong. I'm going to vote in corrupt elections, and I'm going to pray for the best. That's the limit. What happened to faith without works is dead. What happened to that? I mean, that's the motto I live by, I mean, you got to do the footwork in my profession to get the results from a higher power. And that's all I can ask for. I can't just sit here and say, God, I magically want this to happen. I got to get off my fat ass and do the work and then turn it over to God. But it seems like the people over there just turn it over to God and get out of the way. They don't do anything.
Well, the natural conservative mindset is a rule follower. And that's the irony, is they see that there's a rule book and the left is saying, whatever. Yeah. Enjoy your rule book. Thank you very much. It's kind of
it's fine in normal times, but we're way past the point of no return here, for Christ's sakes. I mean, it's all great and well in a normal, balanced society. But at some point, when is enough enough? I just keep saying, when is it too much, Eric? When are we past the point of no return with these people? When we're in the gulag, when Solzhenitsyn writes about how him and his other inmates stayed up late at night, racking their brains as to what they could have done to avoid all being in the gulag, because that's what Solzhenitsyn writes about. He writes about how they didn't do anything. They did absolutely nothing, and they all ended up in the gulag. And they all stayed up at night, scratching their heads and having these brainstorms as to what they could have done to avoid being in the gulag. And is that what it takes? Everybody in a January 6th situation saying, now what do we do?
Yeah, at a minimum, make them work for it. And then and protest, and Tim Pool actually mentioned that too, that he would have gone down, had a protest at the jail, walked down there, and then just like handcuffed himself with a key in the pocket and hold up a sign, because very importantly, same tactics to left. Don't get your ass caught out there in a sling where you're going to get busted up. So they couldn't say that they were causing any problems or whatever. Make a spectacle, be visible.
We need to get together of these people like myself and have a meeting of some sort with the new arrivals and see if we can come up with a plan of some sort, because this is getting very frustrating. I mean, I don't know how Trump is going to beat 800 different indictments. I mean, it's just a snowstorm of indictments against Trump in every city. And it's not, now that they've done it, I mean, Milwaukee's going to do it. Other cities are going to do it. I mean, it's a feeding frenzy at some point. You know what I mean? You don't want to miss it. It was like Lenny Bruce talked about getting busted in Chicago, and then it became a feeding frenzy. He got busted in Philadelphia the next week. He got busted in New York. And it became like the DA of each city felt like they'd be left out. Like, my city's no worse than Philadelphia. My city's no worse than Chicago. So they busted Lenny in New York. They busted him in Philadelphia for obscenity. They busted him in Chicago for blaspheming the Catholic Church. And everywhere he went, it became like a domino effect, Eric. And I think that's what's going to happen now, is why I'm mentioning Lenny Bruce's legal problems.
Well, I noticed you were doing a little bit of a tweet storm with Lenny Bruce and Jim Morrison quizzing the audience. I'm like, oh, Jim Morrison, Miami, indecency. Lenny Bruce, pretty much everywhere.
Well, there was one of Lenny in 1963, which I put up, and he was in a priest outfit. And he had created, that was a Miami impersonating a priest arrest. And he made a point, and he realized that these nonprofit charities were raping the people who donated to nonprofits. They were taking 85%. There were no laws back then in 1963. They were taking 85 to 95% of the donation and keeping it for administrating the nonprofit charity. So Lenny Bruce created a nonprofit for a leper colony in British Guyana, an actual leper colony. And he went door to door in Miami in a wealthy neighborhood as a priest. And he got massive donations. And he said, I'm only going to keep 50% instead of 90. And I'm going to send 50, I swear to God, to this leper colony in British Guyana in South America. And he was doing it. And the police showed up and arrested him, not for that, but for impersonating a priest. And that's why in that mugshot, he's wearing a priest outfit, Lenny Bruce, which I thought was pretty apropos for today.
I love it. I can't wait till we get the episode. Let me go through some super chats. Nice seeing me on Timcast last night. It was a good show with me. Thank you very much. I was trying to hold my own. One of Arthur Bremer's brothers worked at the Santa Anita track circa 1966 with Sirhan Bashira Sirhan. What are the odds of that happening?
Well, it's funny you said that, because Sirhan is all through his part 2 of his diary. He's mentioning Sirhan in the diary, which is so meta, that one assassin's mentioning, one phony assassin's mentioning another phony assassin, and now his brother works with them. The older brother, like I said in the episode, he was arrested shortly after the assassination attempt on Wallace. He was arrested for embezzling women for some phony fat drug for the equivalent of like $500,000 in fees. And his lawyer was the lawyer for the anti-Castro Cubans from Watergate. So I just thought, man, it's a small world.
By the way, speaking of the anti-fat drug, I just saw this headline in passing. I didn't keep it, but that new hot, trendy anti-diabetic pill, apparently there's a lot more emergency room trips happening. So it may not be healthy for everybody who's trying to lose weight quickly.
You're late to the party on that one, Hunley. If you watched Housewives of Beverly Hills and Housewives of Miami, like I am forced to do, and Housewives of New York, you learn about all these different things from the housewives, and the women who watch those shows are hip to this. So
okay, this is why I check in with you.
Yeah, no, I am an expert now on reality shows. Like I said, I've binged I don't know, like 10 years of Vanderpump Rules at this point. I've got 1 year left, I think, and then I'll be up to date. But yeah, the drug itself, yeah, absolutely, it's causing some internal harm.
All right. Dick Dickerson, awesome seeing me on Timcast. Get Groubert on next.
You're not getting me
hope
on there,
to.
bro. Look how far. Are you kidding? You know how far that is? I mean, who the hell knows? I mean, you have to take a rocket ship and then a plane and an underground railroad. Hunley's like 5 minutes away, and they still flew him there.
Oh, hey.
But I mean, look, we got to go to Montgomery, Alabama next week, for Christ's sakes, on Friday. So I got to start packing after this show to get ready for next week.
Yeah, for sure. Eric, great job on Tim Pool. Mark, many people say that our interview was better than the one you did with Viva. I paid them, but they said it.
That's funny.
Almost
He's great. This guy's great. Let me tell you something. I don't know what happened with that interview, but I got into some spiritual stuff about what drives me and stuff like that a little bit more than politics. So
yeah, it's about a year old now, right? It's but it is a really good one. Very popular interview. Sir Lawrence, I came for the freeform chatter and constant interrupting. I stayed for Mark getting angry at super chat questions. Great show as always. He's not angry at questions.
I'm not angry at anything. If you're not angry by what's going on in this country right now, my heart breaks for you, because you are probably the biggest schmuck in America. I mean, on both sides. I mean, for the love of God, the only people cheering this are leftist single women who hate Trump. That's who's cheering this thing on. And that's what's, in my humble opinion, is destroying this country. And there was somebody else talking about that the other day in detail. Somebody on Viva's show, or was somebody with, I forget what it was, but a guy, I'm going to have to remember this, because a guy went into detail about the damage being caused by leftist single women in detail. So in a real sociological new book. I forget who it was, but it was last week. Why the hell did I see that? It'll hit me later in the show, but wow.
Not this week, but last week, because
last week. Yeah.
Okay. Because Trump, I'm sorry. Yeah. He was in Milwaukee. So I didn't know if it was like,
no, it was somebody who's got a regular show that I watch. It wasn't the Durant, or was it Jimmy Dore? Somebody that I watch regularly was talking about this immense damage it wasn't Jordan Peterson, but it was somebody at that level.
Was it Luke?
No. It was like a Brett Weinstein. Oh, was Brett Weinstein on with somebody? It was somebody at that level. It'll hit me later. I'll post it up later. But the point of the matter is, I mean, even normal people who dislike Trump, who are Democrats or even rhinos, are looking at this thing in total horror. Obviously.
Jacob Dreisen?
No, it's not Dreisen. I haven't looked at Dreisen in a while. It was somebody like that, though. And
we'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out later. Now you're gonna drive me crazy.
I can't help it.
But how about did LBJ duck? Is what the question? Or
did he duck in the car 3 seconds before the first shot?
Okay, it was longer than 3 seconds, because Ralph Yarborough, not to be confused with Don Yarborough, again, somebody lost their mind. I don't care about Don Yarborough. He's got nothing to do with the storyline. I think Don Yarborough went to jail for corruption. Another Texas politician. But Ralph Yarborough was in the car with LBJ, and he said LBJ had the handset from the dashboard, which was the Secret Service two-way radio, draped over the seat into the back seat, blocks and blocks before they turned onto Elm Street, and was ducking down way before 3 seconds. He was down below the thing, listening to the handset.
That's one would normally, right?
Yeah. Right, and I don't know. I don't consider that even ducking. According to Yarborough, he draped the handset over and ducked down to listen to it for a long stretch before they got to the Texas School Book Depository, and then he heard the shots, and he ducked down, blah blah blah. But he was already down, and Yarborough said the Secret Service guy never came over the top and draped himself over LBJ. It was the three of them back there. There was no room. Yarborough, Lady Bird, and LBJ. He would have killed them all if he jumped on top of them. He said that never happened.
Okay, Jim Satala says this about going back a little bit. They're called AWFULs, affluent white female urban liberal singles.
That's cool, but that's not what I heard.
Okay.
It was. Oh, wait a second! I know where I heard it. Heather McDonald on with Viva and Barnes. That's what it was. Heather McDonald. And I got to drill down. She might have a new book where she goes into this. That's where I heard it from, Heather McDonald, from a woman.
Okay.
And she talked about how they've captured not only how they captured the educational institutions of America, but the damage that they've done internally at corporate levels combined with the institutions. She is blaming this entire debacle of the past 5 to 10 years on single leftist women who have dominated this courtyard of knowledge and how much damage they've done. And she talked about how they are like on the neurotic scale, like 10 times more than men. I've seen studies, multiple studies that McDonald's is aware of, polling about lying, how women lie at 8-to-1 ratio to men. That study's been done a million times. It usually comes out in an 8 to 10 time ratio. And it's based on power. It's based on fear and power, and women having to survive need to lie to survive, even going back to caveman times, because of their needs.
You're not going to physically.
Yeah. No. There are physical reasons for it, and there's sociological reasons for it. But the fact of the matter is, it's an 8 to 10 to 1 ratio of lying of women to men. And I'm talking about every study I've seen, and McDonald's well aware of this. And that's why I was listening to her talking about this neurotic spectrum, that how neurotic women are versus men, So,
and Jordan Peterson talks about that a lot.
Yeah, but I've never heard a woman talk about it, and that's why
McDonald's awesome. She
that's
great.
Why. Yeah.
She's super on crime too. Let me see. Why should or shouldn't Trump choose RFK Jr. as his running mate? Well, first he'd have to
accept it. Right? He's from another party. I don't know how that works.
Yeah,
I know people live in some fantasy political world where it's just like, hey, I want Babe Ruth to be on a team with Reggie Jackson. They used to have radio World Series when I was growing up. I don't know if anybody remembers this. They had computer teams. A computer team playing, like the 1929 Yankees would play the 1985 Cardinals in a World Series, and they'd have an announcer. And it was supposedly computer generated, but I think it was a crock of shit. But it was fantasy baseball on the radio as a World Series. And I think people look at politics today as some sort of fantasy game or something. I just want RFK to run with him, and he'll be the attorney general, and Joe Torre will manage the Republican National Committee, and Aaron Judge will come in, and it's crazy. It's crazy. It's just not happening in the real political world.
Well, then the problem is that now it's probably even worse because we have things like fantasy football. So I guess we have fantasy politics and
fantasy politics.
Well, I don't know. I don't follow Robert's sports picks, but maybe there is something to that where they could bet on lines of, okay, well, I'm going to have this for VP and this for president, or this. I don't know, but
he couldn't even trust someone within the party he was affiliated with to be the attorney general of the United States. He had 2 guys stab him in the back. You're going to take this guy from another party? Come on. Robert Barnes is the only one who should be attorney general of the United States. Everyone knows it. Everyone in this chat knows it. Everyone on Viva and Barnes knows it. There's only one man who's both qualified, dignified, and I don't know if he's willing, but if selected, I hope he would.
If Trump wanted him to do it, I think he would. I think
straighten out this entire country. That'd be great. And he could go out and find mini Barneses, Barneses, miniature Barnes that are scattered around the country.
Well, he's been recruiting them. He actually has been funding and recruiting and kind of seeding the field for that exact.
Well, that'll be the Justice Department then. I don't know where you get a new FBI from. You may have to put the FBI out of business for a couple of years and just go, look, we're rebuilding, come back later.
Vivek might be onto that.
Just put a sign up and just say under repair, closed until further notice.
Yeah, well, that actually is a good Vivek idea, which is literally get rid of it. But I've thought that for a long time. Why do we have all these? Why do we need a border patrol, an FBI, an ATF?
What about the IRS? 87,000 accountants with machine guns.
I agree. We don't need that. And Secret Service and theirs. Yeah, we don't. Yeah.
By the way, Jimmy Dore is channeling Alex Jones now every day. This is where we are, folks. This is getting hysterically funny. They're running huge segments of Alex Jones. and Alex Jones was talking to government informants that he listens to, and they said that the masking is coming back through the TSA after Labor Day for airlines, and the vaccine is coming back by October 1st, and the lockdowns are coming back by the end of October. And he went into detail, Jones, talking about the whistleblowers who've contacted him from the TSA. So there's a lot of veracity to it.
Oh yeah. No, it's not only there. It's kind of a well-known thing now that it's coming.
Okay,
because
right.
they're sending out trial balloons. They're kind of just saying,
yeah. Well, I don't know if they're trial balloons or all. I mean, I just went to the supermarket, and those sheeple in the produce department are wearing them. So they don't need to float trial balloons here.
Yeah, I've seen it more and more. Let me see, David Snyder. Do you think there is gold in Fort Knox?
I don't know, but there's gold in them thar hills. You know, we're going to do an episode of the gold rush of 1948 in California, which people will find to be very fascinating.
19 or 18?
1848. I'm sorry.
Okay, it's like, Jesus, was there another one?
There was another one. Well, they had this gold bar machine that I put up on Twitter yesterday.
Oh my God!
In Dubai, and they're
just
everywhere.
Makes me sick. It makes me sick to see.
They're all over Dubai, and they're at the airport, and it looks like a regular vending machine, and it spits out gold bars. You know, because it says gold to go. Like, you got to go. Like, I need a gold bar. Let's go. Chop chop. And you put in your money or your debit, crypto, whatever, and a gold bar comes out.
I know. And we are worried about conspicuous consumption. It's like, no, that's conspicuous. I mean, good God. And by the way, all the wonderful buildings over there in a lot of that area, who do you think's building them?
Who?
Free people? No. They have slavery over there.
Oh, slavery. Okay. Wow.
It's kind of an underground thing. I'm unaware of how a candidate can run for the presidency after once holding office. I think Trump is the lesser of two evils, crying Bill Biden, and this is coming from a black man. Grover Cleveland.
What do you mean?
Ran to become president, was voted out, and then somebody else served one term, and Grover Cleveland was elected again.
Wasn't Teddy Roosevelt in and out?
Teddy was out and almost got back in, but with the Bull Moose Party, but he didn't actually get elected. So, but yes, absolutely, and it has happened in history. TB, thank you. Though, Jim Satala, they want some kind of reaction from the right, so they can have another thing to point at, like J6 and the Whitmer hoax. Okay, they've been saying MAGA extremism for years now, and as soon as anything happens, they will round us all of
good.
So,
good. Let's go. Let's bring it on. Let's bring it on, bro. You want to live like this on your knees? You want to stand up like a man? Okay, that's what you're being faced with. We're not going to do anything because that's what they want. That's some logic.
Right, and we're not saying do anything illegal. We're just saying fight.
No, I'm just saying fight. Right, just fight.
Protest,
do something.
And force their hand. If they are trying to get you, force them to legally go through the measures.
What do you think Gandhi did? I mean, what do you think Martin Luther King did? What do you think all these people did going all the way back? It's not just an American thing. I mean, it is a social movement that needs to be done at times of like this throughout human history.
Yeah, for sure. Pushkin, always look forward to your show. Thank you.
Popular Russian.
BTK, where is SCOTUS? Good question.
Yeah, that's a good question, but you have to keep going up there. I said this last week. You have to keep running up that hill and demanding rulings, banging on the door. I mean, these guys seem to wait for years before they even go up there. And they go, nah, you don't have standing, like Barnes says. Yeah, it's latches, standing. You don't have standing. You should have come to me last year. You should have come to me in 2 months. I mean, they don't go up there until the fourth quarter with 2 minutes left on the clock, for Christ's sakes. I mean, go up there every day, bang on the goddamn door. Somebody's going to let you in. Yeah, call that guy on the phone. The guy who's the conservative one, the black dude.
Oh, Thomas.
Call Thomas. I mean, there's a guy who's willing to help.
Yeah, a lot of it is they need to have something sent to them. You know,
right. I can't help you there. I mean, once you're all in jail, I mean, it's going to be difficult. But
yeah, so maybe you need to get something sent up to somebody. You have to have a case.
Right.
Leo Battenhausen, Trump did what he thought he needed to do, and it totally backfired in the Democrats' face. Come on, man. By the way, Mark, what kind of shirt is that? I like it.
Oh, it's Levi. It's a Guess shirt, an old Guess one.
Oh, wow. Memories.
Yes. Yeah.
Anyway, I'm not saying, okay, I think that what Trump did with the mugshot was brilliant.
Okay, but I mean, enough is enough already. Why cooperate with these guys? You know what I mean? Let them take you down. Make them bloody their hands. Make them get dirty. You know, you don't think you're diminished enough by being fingerprinted and mugshotted? I mean, really? Really? Let them force your plane down. Force them to drag you out. Show that they are a banana republic. Stop giving them the benefit of the doubt. Make them show their ugly faces behind the mask of a phony judicial system. Let them roll up their sleeves and drag you through the mud. Embarrassing? To them. To them. Expose the, you know, this is what we were taught is to expose the animals and the beast behind the like the emperor, you know, like the Wizard of Oz, when they pulled back the curtain, there was this little man, right? The wizard was on the front. What these guys are doing is bowing down to the wizard in the Wizard of Oz instead of pulling back the curtain, which didn't take much, but a scared little girl like Judy Garland and a dog named Toto, for Christ's sakes. That's how easy it was for them to pull back the curtain. These people won't even pull back the curtain. They're just turning themselves into the wizard, the Great Oz, whoever the Great Oz is. And this time it's a Mrs. Buttersworth from Fulton County.
Leo Battenhausen's going to argue on it. God is in charge, Mark. He also helps those who help themselves. But if Trump didn't do this, that feeds them ammunition.
Oh, would you stop with the ammunition? Stop with the ammunition already, bro. You're scared shitless of doing anything. Admit it. You're scared to death of getting off your fat ass. And I don't mean that to Leo Battenhausen, but in general to the people who keep saying, you know, we can't do anything because that's what they want. You're scared. You're cowards.
And by the way, the last bit about calling him a fugitive for justice. Well, what? Instead, they're just going to say, he's a criminal. Here's the mugshot. So how is that going to help? I mean, do you expect that we're going to worry about the mainstream media when they're going to, if he doesn't go down there, they'll call him a fugitive from justice. If he does go down there, then he is a convicted felon, which he obviously isn't convicted. He just has a stupid mugshot. But they're going to lie, spread bullshit, no matter what. So they're out. I mean, everybody either believes the mainstream media or they don't. Anybody who has a lick of sense doesn't. I would just keep ignoring them.
It's just an amazing level of passivity that is really nauseating. That's all I can say without details.
For sure. Apasha says, I don't mind feds in the chat. Feds got a fed.
That's
but
funny.
I think some of the rest of the chatters need some basic background info. Should we help them?
Well, I mean, look, who was the guy at January 6th who was the famous Fed?
Ray Epps?
Yeah, Ray Epps should be a verb now. I mean, you got to go Ray Epps the guy. You know what I mean? That should be a verb. But yeah, I mean, they're everywhere. But the point of the matter is, if you still are afraid to express yourself in your own country and stand on your legs instead of being on your knees, I don't know if that's a way to live. I mean, think about, you know, your children, think about your lineage. I mean, this country was built by revolutionaries, for Christ's sakes, right, Eric? I mean, it was built on a revolution. I mean, the original revolutionaries didn't say, that's what they want, the British. The British want us to fight back. I'm not going to give them that. I'm not, you know, they want us to throw the tea into the harbor. They'll probably arrest us and send more troops, for Christ's sakes, based on these people's theories. I mean, for the love of God, get off your fat ass. I mean, come on, people.
And again, we're not saying do something illegal. Protest.
Illegal to get off your fat ass. That's a crime. Get off your fat ass.
I know.
That's a crime. Get off your fat ass.
We get people who are clipping. They're saying, they're saying this. It's like, no, we're not saying anything illegal. We're saying practice your rights, protest, be a pain in the ass, civil disobedience, standard stuff.
I just want to do a brief commercial for my favorite soda, Leninade, which is coming from the DNC near you for the 2024 election. Please check out Leninade. Thank you.
And that stuff's being sold all over the place now.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I bought it in here in California.
But I just can't believe it. It's like they're just doing it. You know.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, next up they're going to be selling German ovens. Why
Boy,
not?
Hunley, that's gone a little too far. But a Malburger, it was very tasty. It's a Malburger.
Okay.
Feeds over 6 million in the time of a crisis. Get the Malburger.
There you go. Yeah, and I did good on the mug shots.
Oh yeah, she got a couple of them too. This woman, yeah, Pamela. Yeah, it was I was throwing up a lot of them this morning that I was finding. There's Mandela's out there. Obviously, Barnes put up Martin Luther King. There's Rosa Parks, who was a card-carrying communist, by the way. I said, what party was Rosa Parks from? They got it wrong. They said the Democratic Party. She was a Communist Party member.
She also, that was a stunt, too. The funny part is that there was a real Rosa Parks here in Virginia, in Chesapeake, and somebody who wasn't going to move on the bus. But they didn't put her forward because she was pregnant, unmarried, in a mixed relationship. And they were like, if I recall, that was a breakdown. And they're like, okay, we like what happened here. So we need to recreate that for the purposes of the publicity. Kind of like Iwo Jima, I didn't realize, but the famous photograph in Iwo Jima? Well, they didn't get it the first time. So they got troops to go back up there and pose to get the photograph. So I find some of that iconic history fascinating because of the staging that is involved on some of them. But let me see. Mean Lee Harvey Oswald. As a conservative Republican, we want a populist fighter. The leftist Democrats have no rules or regulations. No one on the stage Wednesday fits the bill. I'm wondering who Trump can even pick as a VP.
Carrie Lake.
Yeah.
She's a fighter. She's a journalist. She's a news person. She knows the rules. She's a MAGA, and she's got his back. I said this to Eric yesterday. I don't know anybody I would personally trust of that group. Trust them to have his back. I don't know who those sketchy guys are. You got the fat guy, Chris Christie. You got you got all this different range of people. None of those people, to me personally, are trustworthy in terms of having this guy's back. And the only one I could think of off the top of my would be a Matt Gaetz, I guess. But he's got a job, and I think Kerry Lake is in between jobs right now. She's talking about
How
money.
about J.D. Vance? Barnes has put him forth.
You can't give up a Senate seat for that. You can't do it.
Plus, I hate to say you need a minority. You need a female or something, probably.
You don't need anything, but you don't give up a Senate seat for a VP seat. The last guy who did that, LBJ, it was an awkward position to be in, but you don't give up Senate seats for VP seats. Look what happened in the Jeff Sessions case. You gave up this seat to become Attorney General and flip sides.
Good point.
Yeah, that's why you don't do it. It's politics 101. You never do it. You can do it with a congressional seat. It's a little less valuable. But, you've got Kerry Lake, who is in between jobs, and she may run for the Senate. She may not. But that's who you want, is somebody with name recognition who's got a big mouth and knows how to use it.
Right. And as far as seats go, or a governor who's a lame duck, or,
right. But you don't give up something to get something in politics, because there's no guarantee you're going to be able to replace the person.
True. Ginny's going to ink you with it. Thanks for the Who Am I Mugshot Edition game on X today, Mark.
Yeah.
When you realize how many people have them and the reasons for them, it takes the Mickey out of the pearl graspers.
That's why I did it. Yeah, that's why I did that. Yeah, mugshots. There was a lot of famous people up there. It's kind of interesting. I forgot about Rob Blagojevich and John Edwards out of North Carolina had mugshots. What was his name? Trafficante? Not Trafficante. Jim from Ohio with the hair piled up over his head. There was that guy.
How about Teddy Kennedy? Was he ever arrested?
No, okay. Absolutely not. But there's a guy running for president now who's got multiple mugshots, and that's RFK Jr. Arrested multiple times.
Oh, perfect. What was Oswald wearing in the morning? Buell Wesley Frazier, who drove Oswald to the book depository that morning, said he was wearing a jacket. Do you know the color of that jacket?
Yeah, it was a blue jacket, and the tan jacket was found under the car at the Tippit murder scene, and that belonged to somebody named Larry Crawford. That's the problem with the jacket story. They later found the blue jacket on the windowsill of the Texas School Book Depository the next day. The jacket was what held his sandwich bag in the pocket, and that was told by Frazier's mother, who watched him get into the car with her son driving it out the kitchen window above the sink. And we know that because she gave the FBI a report, and that was filed by the FBI, the report by Frazier and Lenny Mae Randall, his sister's mother, who said he had nothing in his hand except a sandwich inside of a sandwich-sized bag.
Which you can see in the Buell Wesley Frazier episode.
Yeah.
And if you're interested in jackets, the Larry Crawford episode as well.
Right. It's funny because Frazier said that he knew all about curtain rods because when he was in high school, he worked in a department store in the curtain rod department. What are the odds of that? And he was constantly, and it's in his new memoir, which I just had to laugh out loud. He was an expert on curtain rods and packaging of curtain rods, shipping curtain rods, taking curtain rods home, because for a summer in high school, he worked in a local department store in Fort Worth or Dallas, I forget which one it was, shipping and wrapping curtain rods. That's where he got the cock and bull story about the curtain rods, is from his own job. That's where he got it from.
Oh, by the way, another name that's been thrown out a lot of times for VP is Tucker.
Well, that was brought up on your show yesterday, right? Do you want to take can he do more damage as a cultural warrior than he could as a VP?
Which I think is obvious. I mean, it would be VP to get him to presidency, but I don't know that. I just don't see that happening. I think he's far more powerful in his current position.
Well, whatever he is. I mean, the fact of the matter is his father worked for a strange organization, so he may not be the perfect candidate.
No, I mean, yeah.
His father worked for a 3-letter organization.
He sure did. Let me see. Jenny, you did get a pull. You did good on Tim Pool last night, Eric. They should just do a culture war episode with you and Mark, just talking political history. Would be very informative. Sure. I mean, we're not against going on Tim Pool, obviously. Watch RFK go full Bernie when he loses and stump for him all day to fight fascism.
There's a clip I sent you.
Let me pull that up, actually.
Yeah, I sent you that late today about RFK regards to Biden. I thought that was fascinating, being interviewed by the CNN or MSNBC guy. I forget the sort of a middle of the road cat. There's a little short clip where he discusses that he doesn't want to run a campaign of personalities or something, but the point of the matter is he refuses to criticize Joe Biden. And he says he's a great friend and a great friend of the family. And I'm thinking, like, bro, you are going out there. Here it is. Yeah, who is this guy in the bottom? That's
I don't know. I mean,
no, he's been on there for years, this guy.
He
used to have his own show.
Okay.
Oh, you don't know because you've been over on the other side, but he was on this side.
President Biden has a bust of your father in the Oval Office. When you see that, what do you think?
I have a lot of admiration for President Biden for the service that he's given to our country. I've known him. He's been my friend, my close family friend for 40 years. There's nothing personal about this campaign. I am not going to run a mean-spirited campaign or a personal campaign against President Biden. He and I just differ really dramatically on issues like the war, like censorship, the control of Wall Street and the big corporations of our federal government and the pharmaceutical companies, and also the use of fear as a governing tool. I think our country's headed in a bad direction, and that's why I'm running, but not because I had a lack of personal affection for President Biden.
Is he too old to have a second term?
I don't think age should be a metric for us limiting presidential power. I mean, Bernie Sanders is 81 and, a lot of people would support him. So I think it really, the only question that we have when you get to a certain age is, do you have the mental acuity? And I am not going to judge. I'll leave that to other people. If you like this video.
I don't like this video, but I do, I understand where he's coming from because he's running for the Democratic nomination. But if you want to vote for a guy who refuses to criticize Joe Biden, knock yourself out.
I'm sorry. I like that whole where he goes, I love him, I adore him and all that. We just have some differences, then he lists pretty much every possible thing that could be going on with the government. It's like, well, a difference in how he walks, how he talks, how he breathes, how he eats, how he thinks, how he's treating people, how he's doing his job, how he's... Okay, so
Well, they asked him about Hunter Biden if he had any comment. He says, I'm not going to comment on that. I'm not going to get into that. Oh, that's nice. What are you going to pick and choose what issues you want to get into? You run for president for all the people of the United States, not the Biden crime family who came over and had dinner 600 times with your family in wherever the hell that was up in Hyannisport. I mean, if you can't denounce this guy, you don't deserve to run for the presidency of the United States. I'm sorry. It's not a personal attack on someone when everybody in the country and every single law enforcement group is encircling this crime family for you to make a statement on it. I mean, come on, have some gonads and make a statement, bro. Your father was Attorney General of the United States, for Christ's sakes.
I agree. I mean, here's a good example. I think Jimmy Carter is a great man and an absolutely horrible, shitty ass president. There you go. See, it can be done. You can say he's a nice person.
He achieved that by comparing signatures on ballots in a particular race where he had lost the race, Jimmy Carter. That's how Obama got to become a state senator in Illinois, by having ballot signature comparisons. What's good for the goose is apparently not good for the gander.
No, we don't do that, in 2020. We only do that in, proper years, Mark. Pay attention.
Right. So, I mean, but this commercial that he's running where he will not criticize Joe Biden, and every single press conference he won't criticize, or not criticize, he won't even make a statement. He had no comment on Hunter Biden. There is nobody in the entire country who has no opinion on Joe Biden or Hunter Biden. Nobody, except this one guy. This guy keeps saying, no, I have no opinion. I can't discuss that. It's just
It's like, why is he there? No, I'm like, well, why is he even there then, right?
I don't get it.
Nobody is going to go to him unless he points out a difference with Biden. It just doesn't even make sense. Why are you even running?
My campaign is so high and mighty, I won't even address the people that I'm running against. That's how high and mighty this campaign is. I am not even going to criticize someone because I'm so above the fray. Give me a fucking break. Get off your ass and start criticizing this guy. I mean, this campaign's going nowhere anyway. But he thinks that they're going to love him after this is over. They hate his guts now. They hate his guts now for challenging a sitting Democratic president. You think criticizing him is going to make them hate him even more? Come on.
Yeah. This is the largest super chat we've ever gotten. $300 from Harold. So let me take a minute with this. Jeez.
Okay, go ahead.
Sorry to be a pest, but I really think lightening up on the JFK assassination and focusing on that malignant McNamara would be much more important to victims of the Vietnam generation.
Look, it's funny because I went after McNamara and people started telling me it wasn't McNamara, it was Johnson. McNamara switches over from JFK to Johnson and literally switches his position. It's McNamara's war. That's what I've always called it. They said, hey, LBJ, how many kids did you kill today? But that strategy comes from McNamara. Harold's correct. And when he was with JFK, he had the opposite take on the war. Literally, JFK gets a bullet in the head, and McNamara changes his entire opinion of the war and strategy of the war. It's McNamara that sends out the study by the Rand Corporation, later becomes the Pentagon Papers and distributed by Daniel Ellsberg. It's McNamara who asked for the Pentagon Papers. McNamara requested it through the Rand Corporation, read it secretly, and in there it says, and somebody suggested, some historian suggested that it's possible that McNamara thought he would get a report from the Rand Corporation that showed good news. It did not show good news. It simply said the war was unwinnable, and he kept that under wraps as long as humanly possible until Ellsberg, the whistleblower, who is not without his own issues, Ellsberg, who hooks up with Marx, the toy manufacturer's leftist daughter, and then he becomes left influenced because of this hot girl. This goes on throughout American history, but let it be said that the Rand Corporation and the McNamara study that came out of it, later called the Pentagon Papers, said the war was unwinnable, and McNamara kept it going. And McNamara finally cracks up, and people go, well, The Fog of War is a great movie. Yeah, The Fog of War, by two liberals talking to each other, it's like My Dinner with Andre. having McNamara sit down with Errol Morris and discuss the war, there's some criticism of McNamara in the movie, but it's kind of light-handed until McNamara goes to Vietnam and meets his opposite in Vietnam, who tells him, we would have fought you till the end of time, schmuck. It was our country. We fought the French. We fought you. We fought the Chinese. You still don't get it, which is the best part of the entire movie, which Harold, I'm sure, is well aware if he knows about the malignant McNamara. But the reality of it is this was McNamara's war on both ends, from the JFK side all the way up to his weeping breakdown when LBJ gives him a send-off in the White House, when he has the complete nervous breakdown, is taken away wherever he went to after that. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, what a incredibly damaging public official, probably up there in the top 10 in American history. And
we are going to be doing an episode on him. I mean, we're doing a lot of JFK assassination because something's happening this year, around November 22nd. And so obviously we're timing it out. But believe me, we're going to get back to LBJ as well, right? Because we have post-Kennedy stuff all the way through Vietnam. We have McNamara. We have more RFK.
Well, Tuesday we're going back in time because of Oppenheimer. We're doing the Rosenbergs and David Greenglass, the atomic spies, which everybody's going to love. These are their famous favorite atom spies. So I wanted to do this because Oppenheimer is in the zeitgeist, and I've been following the story for a long time. So we might as well get into how the Russians got the atomic bomb and the damage that caused us, because we were infiltrated by American communists, and we were infiltrated by American communists today, which is why I want to do the episode on Tuesday.
Yeah, definitely. Let me see. The magic bullet must have gone through Connolly's seat. Do you know?
I don't know how it gets to his leg. Go on. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, do you know what the seats are made of? Any pics of a bullet hole through a seat? Seats probably had metal springs.
Again, it's insane. It's insane. He shot clean through from the back, from up above, and that comes out his chest and into his leg and into his wrist and everything else. I mean, it comes straight down like this, almost at a 70-degree angle from up above. And look, it's $3.99, the magic bullet. Nobody takes it seriously any longer because of people whose shoulders I have stood upon to get where I am today. But the original people who did the research, going back to Mark Lane and Mae Brussel and some of the others who exposed $3.99 for the fraud that it is, it gave a guy a Senate seat, Arlen Specter in Pennsylvania, for life. It gave Gerald Ford the presidency. So, I mean, these are high stakes political gambits that these cats were involved in. They just didn't testify before a committee. These guys did stuff that gave them political rewards that are at the highest level of the empire, of the Roman Empire, which is the United States Empire. President Ford and Arlen Specter became one of the top two people in our government. Two of the top people in the government, Specter obviously, and Ford on top of that as president of the United States. And that's because one altered the Warren Commission autopsy sketch, and the other one created $3.99, the magic bullet.
And then, of course, LBJ too, another presidency who.
Right. I mean, I mean, these gambits have very, very high payoffs, folks. These are not people who are shrinking violets who are doing this for money. I mean, money is not power to them. I mean, they're doing this for power. I mean, obviously, LBJ robbed the country blind, and he even took the furniture home on Air Force One when he went back to Austin. He took all the furniture and the silverware. You can't make this up. And Specter obviously, benefited financially, but not to the level of LBJ. And Ford, I don't think, was that much of a gonif in terms of theft financially. I mean, Ford wanted power like the rest of them, but they had to do things to get that power. They just don't hand out these presidencies here. Check out the CIA and family episodes to see the background of how Obama got to the presidency. And they go, really?
Mm-hmm.
I never heard anything about that. How weird is that? Check out CIA and the family, bro. See how far back that goes.
Yeah, and check out the whole series because it works well. We'll be doing another one down the road, I think, with CIA and social media or that type, because we've got CIA in Hollywood, CIA in our media, CIA and family, CIA and art. So
yeah, I think what we need now is a new version of House Un-American Activities Committee to really just start to shine a light on people like Biden's nominee for the Fed. I think it was a banking commission chairman. I forget what her title was. She was turned down. He had to withdraw that nomination. She had gone to Lenin University and studied Marxist economics. The only reason she didn't get the job was because she had been arrested for shoplifting on numerous occasions. We need to have these people in front of the bright lights of American justice to show everyone on TV who we're dealing with. And that's what the committee did back then. You could throw all the mud you wanted at an alcoholic Senator McCarthy out of Wisconsin, but there are a lot of other people, including the Kennedys, working on those committees, the McClellan Committee, the Rackets Committees. A lot of moderate Democrats were involved in those committees, and that's what we need today. I don't know if there are any moderate Democrats, but who's ever out there who is trustworthy in terms of being on a House Un-American Activities Committee 2.0, that's what Jordan and Gates and those people should be doing, getting together at this time.
Wow. Okay, so I don't know if this is a competition day or what's going on, but a Wolfer came in with a $400 Rumble rant.
What is going on? People, we're just trying to put on a show here. Jesus Christ.
I mean, I thank you very much, but I don't know, but holy cow.
Hold on. There's a break for Leninade. When you're tired of huge super chats, take a long swig off the communist swill, the orange flavored Leninade. Thank you.
There you go. And by the way, Mark will be the only one taking a break from it. I will always take a super chat or Rumble rant because I have no soul, but holy cow.
Yeah, Curtis LeMay bombs away. B-17 is entering when there's a $400 super chat.
Yeah.
By the way, look who's back. Look who's back in the house, Hunley, on my chair.
Oh, hey. Hey. Awesome.
Oswald and Groubert have been united together again for the first time since.
Did you send out a rescue mission?
Somebody brought them back. They were missing. We had like milk cartons with their picture on it around LA, and somebody anonymously turned them in. They're in good shape. They're in good shape.
Good. All right.
I just want to hold on. I'm sorry. Go on about the super chat. I'm sorry.
Walfer, with this massive super chat, said, I'm looking forward to the Dorothy Kilgallen episode to blow open the JFK assassination story.
Now that's funny. That's pretty funny.
Yes.
Yes, that's a good one. It's so funny how people pick up on this now. Every once in a while somebody stumbles into the Kilgallen zone, Dorothy Kilgallen had this whole thing figured out, and then she was murdered, of course, as everyone knows, and everyone goes, well, what's my line? I don't really know how Kilgallen died, but thanks, man. That was pretty bold.
And earlier, Wolfer had sent a Rumble rant to me. Question: did you do any grilling for Tim Pool? Will we see it on the grill stream?
That's funny.
Yeah, that's funny.
I hope he comes down to the meetup in Montgomery so we can
I hope so too.
Buy him a drink at least. Jesus Christ.
I know.
Get him a chicken piccata or something.
With bones.
And the chicken sandwich. Some guy went into detail about the chicken sandwich. I mean, such detail. I wish the Warren Commission had this detail on the chicken sandwich. Like you could spit out the bones. You can have the bones on the side. You could have it deboned. It's just bread separately, and then you're eating chicken. Whatever the hell it is.
Have you seen Forrest Gump?
Yeah.
It's like that guy Bubba in Forrest Gump. It's like, well, shrimp, fried shrimp, grilled shrimp. Like 2 days later, he's still talking.
When you read the Warren Commission testimony, that should be a play by itself. Just the interview with Bonnie Ray Williams, who was up in the sniper's nest, who built the sniper's nest, which is actually his lunchroom for his chicken sandwich with bones in it, because the bones are found on the floor right around there. But once they couldn't link Oswald to the bones and the Dr. Pepper and the cool cigarettes, they knew they had an African American on their hands, and that's when they started flipping Givens, Givens was another black dude who worked with Bonnie Ray Williams. Givens had a bust, had a rap sheet for heroin arrests, so they flipped him immediately. Givens also left after everybody went home. People were asking me all week, why did Oswald run if he wasn't guilty? I'm going, run where? Everyone was sent home. He walked out the front door. got on a city bus, got to a taxi cab stand. What's the first thing he does? He gives up the taxi to an old lady, opens the door and says, I'll find another cab, man. Because that's what guys do on the run after they kill the president. They give up taxi cabs to old ladies in Dallas. I mean, for the love of God, I mean, people get these things in their head from little tidbits of information, and they build an entire storyline in their mind over this stuff. Everybody got sent home from work, including this guy Givens and Bonnie Ray Williams. Bonnie Ray Williams is picked up by the cops, though, and taken in for questioning with Givens. And Givens, they flip. And Bonnie Ray Williams, they flip, obviously. But Givens, they immediately flip because he had a heroin bust on his rap sheet. Little known odd facts of African Americans working in the Texas School Book Depository. Maybe we should just do an episode on them. Because in the domino room, which was the first floor segregated lunchroom, Oswald ate with the blacks, and Oswald ate with them for political reasons. And he went up to the second floor to get a soda from that lunchroom, which was the white lunchroom. He also did this on trolley cars in New Orleans when he was growing up at the age of 13 and 14. And Robert Oswald, his brother, talks about it, how he got the shit beaten out of him a bunch of times for sitting in the black section in the back of the trolley cars. And he did this on purpose. And so he's got a long history of doing this, Oswald. Just a little tidbit about Oswald's politics, personal politics.
Oh, amazing. Now, there was another Rumble rant when I was scrolling. It went by a $5 one. I can't find it, and the chat history is too small, and the stupid plugin isn't showing it. So, whoever it is, I saw that there was a rant.
We're gonna look for it. There used to be a show on TV when I was growing up called Sky King and his daughter Penny, and he was a rancher in Arizona, Hunley. I don't know if you remember this, but he had a single twin-engine Cessna, and his daughter flew, and they would rescue people. Sky King, yeah, and you see him at the beginning of the episode. If anybody remembers that, let me know in the comment section.
Right, so let me go through some more. David Sider, TWA, Flight 800. Fox showed a clip in Japan confiscated by the FBI.
Fox showed a clip of what? Of Flight 800 or?
Yeah, it says military training gone wrong.
I don't know, but it was shot down. Was that 800, the one on Long Island? Yeah, that was shot down from the coast of Long Island. I mean, I don't think that's in dispute. There were so many witnesses on Long Island that night, all the way out in Suffolk County. I think that's pretty well established. There's a good documentary on it that was on Showtime about Flight 800, so you might want to take a look at that. How they assembled all the pieces in a hangar out there, and dude, that was missiled out of the sky. That was missiled.
All right, let me see. Harmeet Dillon would have been fighting for Trump at an RNC level had she beat Rona to do nothing McDaniels. Trump should have supported Harmeet.
It's too little too late. Like I said, when LBJ came in, when JFK came in, they put their stooges. Every president puts their stooges in, not when you're out of office. You put your stooge in the first week. He should have put this chick in the first week. That's what everybody does. How if there's no such thing as elections for your party chairmanship. It's a patronage job. It's a patronage job. There isn't a chance in hell that Harmeet Dillon was going to defeat McDaniel in an election for RNC president or chairwoman. That is a patronage job that every single president in American history has put one of their top stooges in to watch their back. And here's what happens. He didn't have enough stooges. There's the three stooges, but Trump didn't have enough depth on the bench to put in enough people who owed him political favors. The reason Hillary went berserk is because so many people owed her political favors, and it went for naught. Trump had 0 people owing him political favors, and he won the election outright. That's not the way it's supposed to happen. And he had nobody beholden to him because he wasn't in politics. That's part of the nature of politics is by the time you reach the age where you're going to become president, thousands and thousands and thousands of political people owe you favors because you did stuff for them. That's when you cash in, when you're trying to become the president. And he, as a maverick, didn't have that. So he didn't have somebody like a Harmeet Dillon when he was coming off the bench to win this thing, in the 9th inning. He didn't have that. And the people he did pick, he did the best he could A lot of them, like Eric points out, stabbed them in the back.
And I'm seeing a lot of comments in here about chats and everything else. Harold is saying, why am I skipping chats? So somebody put in a really large super chat. Okay. If somebody throws in a lot of money, yes, I'm going to stop. I'm going to notice it. I'm going to bring it up. It's just a thing of nature. That doesn't mean I'm not going back through the line here. Like back here with Jenny, here's a chat. Here's a chat from Harold from earlier. I'm getting to the super chats as I can. I apologize if I go out of order sometimes, but if somebody does give an extreme amount of money, wow, I'm going to respond. I'm sorry. That's just a natural thing to do. I'm not expecting somebody to give a whole lot of money, and I know Mark is not expecting somebody to give a whole lot of money, but thank you very much. And here's a later chat talking about this. Why does it require an extremely generous contribution to initiate an equally generous response? Mark, I'm a retired dentist. I have degrees in microbiology.
I don't know anything about it.
I don't know either, but
I don't know anything about this, but I just want to get back to the show. Is that humanly possible?
Well, we're working on it. I mean, I've got all the chats in here. I have people who are supporting the show and paying money. I want to respect that.
Okay.
And at the same time, we're trying to do the show. So, folks, help us out and tell us the perfect way to cover all the bases.
I just want to get back to Korean Airlines, which is a story I was telling you about today. Korean Airlines is beginning to weigh people who board Korean Airlines. There's one in New Zealand that's doing it also, and they're trying to determine based on your luggage how much you and your luggage weigh to know how much fuel to put in the plane. So the Koreans, it turns out, are 163 pounds, a male, and 129 pounds average for a Korean woman. And the American is a male is about average 199 pounds, and the woman's about 170. So the Korean Airlines, which is a big airline, it flies a lot of Americans and other things, other types of people. Apparently, New Zealand is doing the same thing, Asian Airlines, to weigh passengers. Yeah, this is getting some coverage today because I guess people are upset. They're going to be weighed like their luggage, Eric.
You know what? We flew, my wife and I, with some friends of ours because we're near Langley Air Force Base, and my wife's friend is a pilot. And we went on a Cessna, and guess what? Guess what you need to know before we went on.
Right.
And also, it was a matter of, okay, they used to do that with people on normal planes. They would
I know.
And they would place you. No, the seating arrangement would be, you're bigger, you're going here. You're smaller, you go here, and they would literally balance that and the luggage. This is not new.
Right.
It's the problem is, it's not about shaming.
Right. People thought it was fat shaming, and the Koreans are up in arms about it because they don't want their weight to be in the hands of the government. I don't know that's their issue in Korea, South Korea. They don't want it to be public. So I don't know. That's a separate issue. It's not involving fat shaming in Korea. It's about jet fuel for the airlines. Is their goal is to save jet fuel or charge you a surplus. I don't know. They didn't get into that, but they want to put it all into a database and come up with a formula.
It's math.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. It's like math is not racist. Math is not fat shaming. It's just numbers and weights. And
what's that airline, Spirit, that I'm never flying again? Spirit, right?
Spirit,
I'm never flying it again as long as I live. I flew it once. I went back to American, never doing it again. But one of the things that Spirit came up with was the luggage. The limit is 40 pounds.
40 pounds.
Right. Now that throws a monkey wrench into the whole system. That's 50 pounds. Because if you're making a switch from one airline to the other and it's a 10-pound difference, you're seeing everyone at Spirit with their underwear out on the floor of the terminal trying to reduce the weight by 10 pounds. I mean, what a crazy shit show that terminal.
I saw that with you in Dallas, I think it was.
Right. Yeah. So now I went back to American, which is 50. And it is what it is, and that's the standard is 50. Now, if they start weighing people, that'll change the equation. But right now, the luggage that you check is 50 pounds. And Spirit has trying to save money on fuel with 40. But holy crap, do they create chaos?
Yeah, totally. It's insane. let me see. We've got the new Iowa poll, which Fox is trying to push.
Oh
here.
yeah, I saw this today. I mean, this is just crazy. I mean, you're talking about switching deck chairs on the Titanic. I mean, DeSantis went up by 1. This other guy went down by 1. Big deal. They're all at 2, 13, 7, 9. Trump's got a 60 to 55 point lead on these people. They didn't even show up.
Yeah.
I mean, what is their path to victory other than preventing him from being in the primaries? Which, by the way, Governor Newsom has now asked the California State Legislature to create a law banning Trump from the ballot. So they're now going to try to take him off the ballot in California physically.
Yeah.
And this will be a canary in the coal mine for other states. Newsom, of course, the first one, most Democratic governor in the United States, the first one to jump on the bandwagon of legislating who can and cannot be on the presidential ballot in the state of California, which is odd, as he is a candidate himself. So, of course, that's helpful. If you're running, if you could ban opponents on the other side legally through a state legislature that he controls as a supermajority, somebody explained to me once a couple of months ago, his control over the supermajority in the state legislature with term limits is not because of the job they're doing currently. He gives them jobs on boards after they're termed out, Eric. I didn't know this. He appoints them to all of these various state cockamamie boards, and that's why they're beholden to him. Not the fact that there's a Democratic supermajority in the state, which is true. They're termed out, so he needs to appoint them to these jobs to keep them within his stable. This thing it's got to be fixed. We can't have states being run like this, red or blue. This thing has got to be changed.
Yeah, totally agree. I mean, good God. All right, I still have a ton of super chats, so I'm going to have to.
No, go ahead. Go through it. Go through it.
Do you think the Republicans not standing up is just them playing 90s politics? The world has changed a lot since then. It's not our parents' world anymore.
Do I think the Republicans not standing up is them playing 90s politics? I don't
it's
know
not just 90s. It's
what happened in the
all
90s?
Time. It's all time. Typically, the conservative mindset is law and order, specifically order. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's why which cities tend to have more cops? Right-wing, Republican, conservative cities, they have more cops. So it's not...
Keep going. I'll be right back. Keep
going. Let me see. Jim Satala. I'm not saying do nothing. I'm saying that we have to force them to expose themselves as the authoritarians they are before they pull another hoax to convince the normies that they are saving democracy. I agree. Let's see. JS, Mark, you are correct. Jim J is giving lip service. SCOTUS should have reviewed after election. They whiffed, and here we are. And JS, don't forget, though, Jim did write a strongly worded letter to Fannie Willis. So all is good. We've got a strongly worded letter. Things will be going well. And Harold, who is a major Genuous contributor again.
What happened?
Oh, Harold is saying that our episode on LeMay was awesome. Thank you.
I put a lot of work into that. I didn't, a lot of these stuff I go into, like the LeMay thing, I don't know everything about it. I mean, I read like 3 or 4 books. I'll watch some docs on it and come to an opinion, on how it ties into our other episodes. A lot of times it's just luck, because I'm not looking in a particular direction to make something fit in. Sometimes it does fit in like a jigsaw puzzle piece, like, some of the episodes we did, but not always. I mean, people were questioning what my motives were and my politics. I try to look at this stuff as an open-minded journalist. I mean, that's why I was trained as a reporter, not to come in with a preconceived notion of Curtis LeMay. I really didn't know much about Curtis LeMay coming into this thing, Harold. But, I learned a lot reading his book, his autobiography. And in other words, I learned that he didn't say, I'm going to bomb him back to the Stone Age in North Vietnam. That was made up by the author of the ghostwriter, who acknowledged that he had made that up. And there's a lot of things I learned about LeMay and the respect that he had from his men, the respect of everybody that this guy ever stumbled across, except the president of the United States, and not just every president, just one president. So it begins to, put it into perspective as his problem is with JFK and everyone else reveres the guy. Maybe there's something with JFK that doesn't sit right. You know what I mean, Eric? I saw this.
Right, yeah, and it's not conclusive either. It's a
Right.
perspective. You're
It's a
doing the
perspective.
piece from the perspective of Curtis LeMay. You're not saying, oh, I mean, how many comments and everything did we get the whole? Oh, so you sold out to the military industrial complex. You're saying the MiG is the best thing ever in the world. Oh, I thought you were, and it's like, no.
I mean, there was something called the Cold War. There was a nuclear arms race. Whether I support it or not, it happened. I can just give my perspective on what it was like living back then as a kid. Like I've said before, my parents had our bags packed in the hallway during the missiles of October, the 13-day period, and we were going back to the Catskills. And I never saw my parents so scared in their entire lives. This was a young couple who had gotten married, and I was, maybe 8 years old at the time, or 7 actually, and 2 babies. I mean, come on. I mean, everybody in New York was petrified. I mean, do we support the military-industrial complex? Everybody in New York was fleeing, or everybody in Miami and everybody in D.C. who were fleeing and petrified that these missiles were going to occur? The point of the matter is, it never should have gotten that far. It never should have gotten that far.
Yeah, I wasn't born at the time, but even in the 70s and 80s, we still had duck and cover. And
we had duck and cover.
And when I was in the military, it wasn't that far out of the Soviet collapse. And I learned about Soviet tactics. And I mean, it's a big deal. And then we're really doing our best to see if we can escalate.
Well, we're going to
into a
talk
Cold
about
War
it on
again.
Tuesday. We're going to talk about it on Tuesday because the American government was infiltrated with Soviet spies. And, one of the books I'm reading is this one here, which I highly recommend. It's The Rise and Fall of the KGB in America, not in the Soviet Union. And the Verona, we'll get into the Verona files and stuff on Tuesday. But the infiltration inside the United States government was immense. I mean, and even with the 39 pact with the Soviets and the Nazis, part of the one of the beats in the movie by Christopher Nolan on Oppenheimer was against the Nazis, and people were supporting the Soviet Union. Well, in 1939, they signed a pact, the Soviet German pact, and they still supported the Soviet Union, even though they were denouncing Hitler for 6 years as a fascist and a totalitarian regime. Once they signed the pact, not one American communist gave up their support of the USSR, which is fascinating.
Very interesting.
Yes, and we're going to get into that on Tuesday.
All right, let me jump back to these. Mean Lee Harvey Oswald. RFK Jr. is a liberal. Just because he agrees with us on 6 things means little. He's a typical Democrat on the other 100 issues.
That's funny. It might be true. It might be true. I mean, he won't comment on the other issues, so we don't really know. He's commenting on the differences, the 6 or 8 differences that he has, but everything else, he seems to agree with the mainstream Democrats, right, Eric?
No, he is. I mean, he is what he is, a legacy Democrat. I totally agree with that. I mean, BTK, pick a date, Labor Day, and have every podcast announce it and go out and protest, even silently.
Well, wait a minute.
We had that juice. I mean, yes, I mean that is a great thing that can happen, but you got to have the juice to get that kind of thing going. I mean,
well, we have to have a continental podcast convention, I think, is one of my ideas, and to discuss these ideas with the little boxes, I guess, on the screen where everybody, or maybe the what's the thing they have now? I was listening to somebody the other day on the Spaces.
Twitter Spaces.
Yeah, I mean, maybe on there somewhere.
And that's something I've somebody suggested that you and I did a Twitter Space down the road.
I jumped onto a couple. I jumped onto a couple of them yesterday. I didn't say anything, but I mean, they were already going. But I was listening to them. I don't know.
Yeah, I might start one or two. We just got to figure out the time to do it. But it is convenient in the sense of just being able to take your phone and do that. But I don't know. We'll see. Let us know, folks, if you want to do that. Comment below. If you're watching this on replay, most people watch this on replay, Mark. So if you want us to do a Twitter space, please put in the comments. Please, tell us, and we could figure out if we need to do that. All right. Brian Nad, we generally refer to Frank, the poor Fed who was assigned to monitor our live stream. We make him have to drink so much that he needs a new liver. I like that. The Fed monitoring the live stream.
Oh, right.
But Leo Bottenhausen.
All right, Bottenhausen. What's going on over here?
Okay, no.
Is Bottenhausen representing a group of people, or is it there one Bottenhausen?
I'm not sure. But he's definitely got.
I'll read that. Let's see what he says.
All right. The problem is that people are scared to speak up to their mind anymore. They can lose their jobs these days. I would and do all I can, but we need more programmed people. No, we need more programmed people.
Right. That's what I've been saying. Look, the key word is scared. The key word there is scared. What are you willing to give up for your country? Ask not what you could give your country. I mean, it seems like, what can your country give to you? I mean, this has got to be reversed. So he is correct. The question is, how much are you willing to overcome your fears? I mean, courage is just the person with the most courage is just someone who is able to put away their fear for a longer period of time than a regular person who's fearful, you know what I mean? And walk through it. Everybody's got family, everybody's got problems, everybody's got economic things, but at some point, enough is enough. And I don't know, apparently we're not there yet. It has to get worse.
Yeah, I totally agree. Boo boo bing bang. Haha, going full Mark G at the moment, losing it. I'm in the US traveling, and it's much more socially acceptable smashing a beer every time Mark yells at the fat asses. Cheers. Love your show, boys.
That's funny.
That's
funny.
Could you all add to McNamara? Well, we're going to do a McNamara.
Well, we're going to do an episode. I mean, we'll get into it when we do the McNamara episode. I don't want to give away the milk and the cow at the same time, but he's a weird dude. I'll just put it that way. He's a weird dude.
Yeah, for sure. Jim Satala, I never know. Mark's 100% correct. We need to force them to show their true colors. We need a galvanizing act of civil disobedience that causes them to overreact, reminiscent of the fire hoses and German shepherds, turn public sentiment against them. Yeah.
I mean, I've never seen more galvanizing public sentiment than the situation at Kent State when it occurred. Nothing altered the viewpoint of the American public more than the Kent State situation. I'm not suggesting that's a way to go, but I'm saying that. No, I'm just saying that's it. Right. That media event galvanized the American people.
Some have said it stopped the Vietnam War, possibly.
It may have stopped the war. Yeah.
That it was so.
Not that it was planned. I don't think it was planned at all. It's just an event where hands were being forced.
Yeah, it was awful. Leo Battenhausen again. One more thought. Who in charge is going to help us, or do we need another civil war? I think we're in a cold civil war. We keep going around and around, but I feel like we're kind of in a political Cold War.
I've said this over a year ago that we need small decentralized groups, not someone in charge to do this. That's what they would like, and I don't want to use that as a political weapon, but this guy's obsessed with McNamara. Dude. He's got to go to therapy on McNamara, bro. But I think we need small cells that operate in different geographical regions of the country. Let me just leave it at that.
Yeah, I agree. Why would you ever vote for Christie? He doesn't even have the discipline to lose a pound.
I kind of said that the other day, but I mean, he was governor of a big blue state at one point. He did know how to run a state. I mean, a lot of presidents come out of governorships. He's
talented. He's actually a talented debater too. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's the one who prepped Trump.
Yeah, I saw him he was talking with this guy who I really don't like, some addiction guy who's got a mouse village, a British kid. he was on with Dr. Drew one time talking about addiction on a TV show. And he had the British kid who's got the mouse village where they give the mouse some cocaine and they live. They build up.
Yeah. Rat Park.
Rat Park. Yeah, the kid with the Rat Park. And Christie was on, Dr. Drew was on, and that Carl, what's his name? The black dude with the dreadlocks is a professor at Columbia University who is an avowed heroin addict. Yeah, it was the craziest addiction show of all time. And Christie just lost his shit in the middle of it and said he would knock the guy's head off. He got up and I thought he was going to crush him with his fat. And I went, oh, this is a great show. I mean, this was like, wow.
You're like, I like this guy.
I like the show. It was all over the map. It was like, what's his name? The former mayor of Cincinnati.
Jerry Springer.
It was like a Jerry Springer show, but for addiction,
Oh my God. Dr. Drew gets into some things.
It wasn't his show. It wasn't his show. He was just a guest. Or maybe, I forget. But the professor at Columbia, that's my favorite. The guy who's a total heroin addict.
At least he doesn't hide the ball, I guess.
No.
Al Gonzalez, a liberal black friend, said to me, Trump is a criminal. I said, Trump to me is what OJ is to you. He shut up.
Wow, that's an interesting analogy. I never thought of that.
Let me see. Waiting for the Ray Epps.
Well, I wish he could get Dershowitz again, like Trump, like OJ did.
Yeah, well, OJ got everybody. Waiting for the Ray Epps mugshot meme. Surprised no one thought of it. Would that be a lawsuit?
No, I don't think so.
A mugshot is public record. That's part of the issue. I mean, there are a lot of people, and that's what I tweeted out about the Trump mugshot was, you know how X or Twitter, I have trouble saying X, but anyway, they have
X was an LA band with John Doe. So
yeah. well, the organization formerly known as Twitter has revenue sharing for ads, and everybody's bragging like, oh, I made, like Tim Pool's like, I made $4,000 and this and that. I'm like,
how much
money is Trump going to make off of that one damn tweet? I would just love to see that. I bet he makes $20,000-$30,000 or more.
So how do the ads work? They just based on your amount of membership?
You get a cut of ads that are run on your tweets in the timeline. So you know how when you're scrolling down at replies in a tweet, you'll see an ad in there or a promoted tweet.
Right.
They're giving a cut to creators as long as they have over 15 million impressions over the previous 3 months. So I mean, big creators.
It's a pretty high bar.
Yeah, I mean, this is Elon. Do you think he really wants to give away a ton of money?
No, I see what you're saying. It's a game show, but it's a game show for billionaires.
Well, that's called America.
Yeah.
JFK interview was with Michael
Smirkonish. That's why I couldn't remember that name. Not that it's a name that rolls off your tongue, but he's a guy from Philadelphia. Used to have a talk show in Philadelphia as a news guy. He might be back there now. I don't think he's still with CNN.
All right. The deep state is so deep and cold, too.
Well, we're going to find out.
Right. Barnes says states can't charge federals doing federal business like a president. Trump shouldn't respond to Georgia BS, but maybe Trump is right. Get the Dems to the nth level insanity. Trump lets them expose themselves.
I don't agree with that philosophy.
Well, what about the rest of the people then? Trump does have Secret Service, I guess. Bongino, did you hear that where Bongino was saying that Trump shouldn't have paid the bail and forced their hand and then used Secret Service to take over the entire jail when they tried to lock him up?
There's a lot of ways to do it. There's a lot of ways to skin the cat. I just don't think that the passive way is the right way. I'm not saying there's a right or wrong way, but this is the wrong way of people just dropping everything and their families and flying to be arrested. I mean, that's just crazy.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like the whole Trump thing on the big end, maybe he can do it. But everybody else, it's like they should be fighting every step of the way.
Right.
Will RFK Jr. be Green Party or independent? He said no.
He said no. I can only go by what he says.
I mean, things can change, I guess, but
his only path to victory is the death or removal of Joe Biden, which is not far-fetched. I mean, it happened with his father. With RFK Jr.'s father, when LBJ refused to run in March of 1968. It opened the field wide open And there were a bunch of Democrats scrambling. So they're all hanging around, as are the Republicans. They're all hanging around for the same reasons. You know, that if these two guys get taken out by whatever events, there's going to be a wide open field, Eric, right?
Sort of, because they have super delegates. So it'll be like, yeah,
Oh,
go
yeah.
ahead, go run it up. Oh, good job. Sorry. Boop, you lose.
Yeah, I've said this since day one. I don't believe, unless somebody gives up their passes, that they're going to allow RFK Jr. into the auditorium in Chicago in 2024, next summer, next July, to be on the floor of the convention. If they do, it'll be somebody illegally giving up their pass. But the idea that they're going to allow him to speak at that convention is insane. That's insane. So I don't know how this continues much further. I mean, at some point, when do you pull the plug on this thing?
I totally agree. Les Evans, hey, I ain't got no message. Just keep up the good entertainment. This is like discovering FM radio in the early 70s. You all do a great job. Can't wait for the Dylan segment. God bless you from Kentucky. Hey, Kentucky's not too far from Alabama.
Kentucky is an interesting state. But yeah, the Dylan segment has got me in the front of my brain because of Robbie's death. So I'm thinking more about it now.
Yeah, I figure we're getting to it. The JFK bullet to the back, did it penetrate deeply because of JFK's back brace?
Back brace has nothing to do with it. People bring up this back brace because the CIA offered the back brace as part of the story originally that it kept him upright or some other bubamyces. The bullet wound is in the upper right shoulder of JFK's body. Only goes in about a half an inch to three quarters of an inch. And there's various reasons that we've discussed on the show as to why it doesn't traverse, but that is the wound on the autopsy sketch that Gerald Ford admits that he moved on the sketch to line up with the throat shot. So there's an entrance wound on the back of the neck and an exit wound in the throat. Now, Gerald Ford has admitted to doing that for the good of the American people. This is no longer a mystery, folks. Gerald Ford altered, by his own admission, the Warren Commission autopsy sketch for the good of the American people. You can take from that what you want.
Wow. I've just seen something right now. I'm not great at math, but from what I'm seeing, we have 3154 watching us on YouTube. We have 777 watching us on Rumble and another 131 people watching on Local. So that's over 4,000 people watching us right now. And that's really amazing. Thank you all so much. And wherever you are, you may want to consider subscribing if you aren't already, or following on Rumble. I mean, if you're Locals, you're already there. Thank you very much. But please consider it. It really does help us out to go and do that. And there's the bell to do this.
And the two men come out to the center of the ring and take a break for Budweiser Light. Okay, so we covered the Korean Airlines. I just want to put this name out there before you read that super chat. Harrison Ford and George Floyd had a baby, and the baby's name is Harrison Floyd. And that is the guy who's incarcerated in Fulton County under the tutelage of Fannie down there. He is the African-American supporter of Trump who was denied bail. And I want to put his name out there for everybody. His name is Harrison Floyd. And he has been granted no bail. And he's now part of the gulag of political prisoners in the United States, along with the January 6th political prisoners. So please, if you could remember the name tonight, Harrison Floyd, it would be really helpful to him and his family.
Definitely.
His crime, by the way, is supporting Trump and being black, not because he supported Trump and was white. He's in jail because he's an African-American Trump supporter, and nothing scares them more than that. That's why he had to be made an example of, in my humble opinion. No,
and by the way, that's a solid point. If you think it's tough being a MAGA person or right winger or conservative as a Caucasian or a white person, you don't even know how bad it is as black. It's like as soon as somebody black is right wing, all of a sudden racism doesn't exist because they will throw the racist terms directly at them. Like, I mean, we're talking about the C word, that's just like con with an extra O thrown all the time, right? You know, the blacks, they take a horrible, horrible hit if they dare be right wing, and it's pretty just.
Well, I also recommend the Larry Elder, Charlemagne the God interview from last week.
The Breakfast Club.
The Breakfast Club that from last week. That was really good. I mean, Elder denied access, of course, to the debate stage because of typical Fox chicanery. There's a guy who ran legitimately as a Republican gubernatorial candidate for the largest state in the United States, California, against Newsom in the recall, denied the ability to get on a stage with these other Lilliputians who are so beneath Larry Elder, who has been on the media scene for decades as an author, as a radio talk show host, and as a guest on Tucker, and as a candidate against Gavin Newsom. I mean, it's outrageous.
It's even worse than that because two of the candidates who were there, the North Dakota governor and Ava Hutchinson, both bought their way there because they gave $20 gift cards for $1 donations, whereas Larry Elder got donations, a lot of them from that Breakfast Club appearance, made all the standards, and they took him out because of one of the polls they said is from a pro-Trump media source.
It doesn't matter what their excuse is.
So
they did not want the best debater in the business on that stage, the so-called sage of South Central, as we know him here in LA. He's a mega fixture in Los Angeles politics for many, many years. And as the LA Times calls him, and as we now call him, the blackface of white supremacy, as referred to by the LA Times.
All right, I'm reading this out of order, but I just saw it. Did I see the response to Elder not making it? I did not see that. I will try to look for that, actually. I'm interested.
The response by who?
Charlemagne.
I didn't see that.
About Trump not getting on there.
Larry Elder not getting on there.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Right. Okay, all right.
Okay, Archbold. We'll actually get through this one. This will all go away. It's typical rich people drama. Every election is crazy. Nothing new. When Trump is the sole choice, it will all change again.
You mean the multiple candidates?
I guess.
Yeah, I've just been advocating to get it over faster. I mean, because every day that goes by hurts Trump. Every day that there's multiple candidates taking up political oxygen, media oxygen, is detrimental to one candidate, and that's Trump. It should be Trump versus Biden for as long as humanly possible. And I mean extra, not extra, but I mean the full amount of time between now and election day. I want that. And this could be for any two candidates, but this particular matchup is going to come down to two guys because it's preordained in terms of nomination of the parties. This is not 2028. This is 2024. He's way ahead. Biden's the nominee. He's going to be the nominee. Every day that those two are not going head to head is detrimental only to Trump. I can't emphasize this point enough. And people say, well, I want to hear the ideas of Tim Scott or some other crazy storyline. It's just insanity. It's just insanity. We don't have the luxury to do that this election cycle. This election cycle is two men, whether you like them or not. That's the system we have, folks. So which side are you on? I know it's a tough question. I know it's brutal. Well, I'm going to sit it out because I don't like the guy's hair color. Well, that's helpful. That's helpful. I mean, you have to pick a side, whether you like, and I don't care if you call it the lesser two evil, whatever you want to call it. I mean, no race could be more dramatically different than these two men. No race, because of the stakes that are being made available to us as a nation by the choice that's been presented to us of these two men by the two-party system. Whatever happens in 2028, we'll get there to 2028. We could barely get through this year without killing each other.
All right. Though the LN theory is clearly BS, what elements of the LN theory are true?
You're asking me what elements of Holocaust denial are true. That's the question as I see it. I know that Holocaust denial is a thing, but what elements of Holocaust denial do you agree with?
All right. Thanks, guys. Now I'm wanting a chicken sandwich for dinner.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I know.
Okay.
It does. It builds on you.
Mark, what are your thoughts on the KAL 007 shoot down?
Is that the Korean Airlines?
I think so.
I don't really remember. To be honest, I'd have to look back into it. I don't remember offhand.
All right. Trump installed Reese Priebus.
Right. What happened to him? What happened to Priebus?
I'm not sure.
I thought he was okay, and then somehow this woman got in there.
No, I don't know.
Somebody in the chat must know what happened. Maybe he quit after a while.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe he did a couple of years, or he left. I have no idea. Yes, Sky came.
Thank you.
After the Lone Ranger.
Right.
Mark.
Thank you, Dina. Everybody knows, and his daughter Penny, she flew also, but Sky King had his own plane. Sometimes they flew together, but it was always a guy who sprained an ankle, and they had to rescue the guy, or they landed. It was they made an amazing storyline out of Sky King.
I guess it was Saturday mornings for him too.
Right. Went to church. We got from Buffalo to us in Toronto, or
well, I guess I'm not sure. Where were you when Elvis died? R.I.P. 47 years.
What year did he die? Is that 50 years
77?
ago?
77?
I was high as a kite. I don't even know where I was. I don't know where I was, but I was as high as Elvis. Let me just put it that way.
Okay. David Snyder, if you lived in Dallas and had time to do research on JFK, is there an area that has just not been looked at?
Well, I'd like to get into that federal building, inside of it. Yes. And look out the windows and see different vantage points from that federal building over there and see what those people saw and get like a blueprint and walk around in the federal building.
That would be nice.
And also the rooftop of the criminal courts building, see what that vantage point was looking down.
All right. I have a bunch of locals tips in here too. I still have a lot more super chats, so let me run through some rapid fire locals tips. A new world old soul. Some Timcast guests barely talk. You, on the other hand, were a full participant. Did you consciously make a plan to speak up going to the show? I just try to fit in. If I saw room to speak, I would speak. If I didn't, I wouldn't, and just do the best I could to add or not add. Whoa, it's Dustin said, amen, Mark, truth to power. Wake the F up, people.
Let's go.
Church Bart said, come on, Bobby.
Come on, Bobby.
Go
ahead.
Nadoff sent $1 for the Mark Book Super Fund and $1 for my shirt.
Yeah, you see that you see that Gary Shaw book? It was $499.
Oh, it hurt. Well, there was another one available for $1,000, Mark. I mean,
yeah, that was the used one. Was $499. I was at a heart attack this morning trying to get that Gary Shaw book.
I'll have to look for PDFs. Question: if there's a political draft like football, who should the Republicans take as their first pick? Trump.
No, I think Manchin. I think we should pick from the other league and get Manchin to come on our team.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
Right. I think that's what the cat's implying. I would draft Manchin. So let's go.
Let's mostly there. Yeah.
Right.
So American. Mark, I lost 6 Twitter accounts trying to organize marches. Keep commenting. You guys rock.
6 Twitter accounts. That's great. Well, that was the old Twitter. Now it's X. Now it's John Doe's Twitter.
I know, and you can't even say tweet, it's post, and I'm like ex post facto or what?
Oh yeah, what are you supposed to say? Tweet is not the verb anymore?
No, it's posting. And I'm like, what the? Anyway.
Oh, okay, weird.
I know.
What do you get when you become a member, Eric? What is the benefit of being a member?
Of
a subscriber? No, of Twitter.
Oh, well, you're verified.
It's like $80 a year or something.
It is. It's expensive. You're verified. You can upload video. It's over 10 minutes long. It suppresses ads. You're not limited on DMs. You're not limited on retweets. a feature that has that I actually like a lot is bookmarking. So I bookmark tweets all the time, and that's kind of cool. You can have folders and like collect tweets and things like that if you're, studying or researching and what have you. I don't know.
All right.
Bighorn Shaver, Eric, you shouldn't waste time apologizing to the Ubies. As for jet fuel, weigh the passenger like they weighed Trump.
That's funny.
Jack Poso is reporting that they're going to try and have a contested convention to rob Trump the nomination.
That's a big leap. That's a bit
sure
when you've got
try.
that kind of a lead. I mean, that's going to be a huge leap.
Jay Cupworth, good question. Where are all the Soviet commissars after the 1991 fall of the USSR in the USA?
Yeah, I've been saying that for a year, for a long time. Other than a year on the show. Some of them went to Brooklyn, some of them went to London, and some of them came to California. But the bulk of them wove their way into democratic politics and the DNC. Like they will be explained on Tuesday, they did the same thing back in the 50s and 40s after the World War II. They started to weave their way in, and even in the 1930s, into democratic politics. But I think after the fall of the Soviet Union, they fled to these places that I mentioned.
All right. Bighorn Shaver says, yes, do an X Spaces live. All right, we'll consider. Big Bad Teddy, gotta run. Looking forward to the McNamara episode. Gary W. said, this Sunday is LBJ's birthday.
Woo! Man, oh man.
Happy birthday. And
yeah.
Jacob Aki said, you guys rock. Thank you very much. And
Rocky.
Rocky, yes. Back to Super Chats. And running through here. Maybe RFK is trying to avoid the DeSantis treatment, trolled or shunned for personal attacks on party leader.
Well, you can view it that way, but I mean, if you're going to defeat the champ, you're not going to win on points, to use a boxing analogy. I mean, you got to knock out the champ. I mean, you can't knock out the champ unless you punch him in the face. You could dance around that ring all day long, but you're not going to win the bout. You're just going to lose. You're just going to lose the bout. You got to knock the champ out. And he has not laid a glove on the champ. And I used, obviously, these are boxing metaphors, but the reality of it is he's dancing around the ring.
Yeah, and it's a distraction. ASMR, we need a coast-to-coast balcony moment.
Ceausescu is how it's pronounced, but that would be great. Yeah, Ceausescu, one of the great Romanian leaders of all time, who had a war. We had a war on drugs. Ceausescu, as this cat knows, had a war on dogs, and he did not like dogs. But he eventually, I think, ended up on a lamppost physically. So Ceausescu, it did not end well for him and his wife.
Okay. Rumble rant. Asa Hutchinson alluded in the debate that the RNC has rules that won't allow a felon to be the nominee.
Oh, those secret rules.
Yeah,
I remember reading about
for a speedy trial.
I remember the secret rules in the vault from 1803. Yes. Hutchinson knows. He read them in the skiff. Yes. Tell us more about the rules.
Well, remember, he was the only one that Trump talked about with Tucker.
Yes. Interesting.
Because what did he say? He calls him Ava? Or
Ada
or Ava or something like that. And he goes, I can't go into why, which means everybody's going to be scrambling to find exactly what the hell he's talking about. It's kind of brilliant.
He also said he didn't like the guy.
Yeah.
Right.
The Tea Party was supposed to be small cells engaged in civil disobedience. We elected people who didn't back us up.
But a lot of stuff got done by the Tea Party, right? I mean, wasn't Gingrich?
That was Breitbart.
Right, and Gingrich. I mean,
Gingrich
that's not so bad looking back. Right, okay, but I'm saying Gingrich was the spokesperson he was Speaker of the House, right?
Yeah, but that was pre-Tea Party. Tea Party was 2008 and 2009 during Obama as a response to that. I don't know who was...
Who was Speaker then? Paul Ryan?
Ryan was... I don't know who was Speaker at the time.
Well, the people in the chat will tell us, the wise people who live over there.
Yeah, they'll yell at me saying, Hunley, damn it, you dumbass.
The right. I was on the other party, so I don't even know what was going on over there.
Yeah,
I was on the other side.
Yeah, I know. Welcome here. Wesley Hoke, any thoughts on the alleged Wisconsin governor kidnapping plot? FBI big surprise set up the defendants?
All of these kidnapping plots are FBI sting operations. For the love of God, how many do we have to see? Who's kidnapping governors, for Christ's sakes? When I see a kidnapping of a governor, I'll say, hey, that's a serious problem. But I mean, solving these problems before they happen, we've now learned that these are
Oh, that's
setups.
right. Pelosi. That's funny. Pelosi was the speaker.
Right. Okay.
During the Tea Party. So, yeah. Okay. I'm like, all right. Sorry. Elada Kitten, both trivial and important historic information. Thank you for the enlightenment. Great job as always. Thank you.
Meow. It's one of those fathead cats.
Oh, I love that one. It's got a mohawk.
Yeah, what's the deal with that cat that's got the fat round head that looks like a teddy bear? What kind of cat is that? The round bear head of a cat. People in the chat know it's a special kind of cat.
Okay.
I'm not a cat person, but some people I know want to get that cat, so I may have to get into that cat.
Dim convention in Chicago, crime and riots like 68.
Yeah, this is like history repeating itself. I mean, it's going to be insane because the unless this particular convention, their progressives are in charge, and the people in the middle are on the outside. You know what I mean? It could be the opposite of 68, but look, that's a good place to meet up. I'll tell you that much.
No, I don't think it's a Maine Coon, folks.
What's a Maine Coon?
A Maine Coon are the big cats, long hair.
No. This is just a cat with a round, fat head on it, not a fat body, just a round teddy bear kind of head.
Yeah, I didn't think you were saying that. Mo Bishop, I think the throat shot's lack of penetration was due to it passing through the windshield. Agree. We've been talking about that
from the front, but we were discussing the back, and I believe there are certain people I've spoken to who have agreed with me that suppressors do reduce velocity. And I know this is a highly contentious thing, but we're dealing with suppressors that Werbel had invented that were in primitive status back in those days in 60, 61, 62. And I believe from what these people have told me and what I've researched, that there was friction involved in the bullet going through a suppressor. I don't want to get into the details about that, which I believe and has been verified by some people, not all, does reduce muzzle velocity.
Right, and Boehner was the speaker after Pelosi.
Oh, total alcoholic, John Boehner.
Right, but he wasn't part of the Tea Party. The Tea Party.
No. He was the equivalent of McCarthy.
Right. Now, Gingrich was a contract with America. Somebody pointed out.
Right. Okay.
And that was good. That was effective in its time. With Clinton, right. It forced Clinton's hand, and a lot of good came
Wasn't
out.
that in the mid-90s or
mid and late 90s, yeah. But Tea Party was 2009, anyway. But
but we don't have anything right now. Oh, we have these guys, the MAGA people.
Yes. Dio Vendice.
Dio Vendice. What is that?
I don't know.
Is that some sort? Yeah.
Reince became
Trump's right. Okay, became chief of staff. Right.
That's fair. Okay.
But he never should have moved him. I mean, I think he ran out of chiefs of staff.
Yeah,
he had so many chiefs of staff.
Mark, well, Trump released the files on JFK. He didn't last time when he said he would, and Biden is even worse.
Okay, he released tens of thousands. Again, he released tens of thousands of files. When Pompeo came to him about the final batch, he buckled under Pompeo's urgent request. But he released, again, get this through your heads, Trump released tens of thousands of files. I know it's hard to accept, but it's true.
And hopefully he does.
Yeah, hopefully he does. He says he will. He says he will. So
I mean, I'm hoping he pardons Assange too.
Right. I'm hoping he pardons Assange and Snowden. Yeah.
I'm
hoping for a lot of things.
I'm very critical. I'm critical about those two. I think that he should have done that. But
he says that McConnell did something, or there was some sort of quid pro quo with McConnell. Who knows?
Oh, I'm sure. Great time, guys. Thanks. Thank you. Have we considered doing an episode on Kobe Bryant?
The rapist? No, I think I'm going to skip that. I mean, as I said yesterday, it was Kobe Bryant Day in LA yesterday, and I pointed out the trial that Kobe Bryant was involved in. I'm not going to get into the details here, but it was a gruesome trial in Colorado, and that's who Kobe Bryant was.
Right. Mark, Abe Books is my first choice, and I've heard that before. They do seem to have some deals. I think I've gotten books from there as well. Occasionally, you can find something that's super high on Amazon. last super chat.
Oh my God, that's impossible.
Well, we've got a rant still, but anyway, Oswald, thanks.
Wait.
much.
Forget about Oswald. I just
super
want to give
chat.
out the last call for super chats because they're gonna. Once he says that, he puts that dog up, and then people start digging into their couch. So this is the last call.
Well, and this is perfect. When Oswald went back home to the rooming house after the alleged shooting, why didn't he just stay there and keep a low profile? What was his benefit to go back out on the street?
Okay, went to the movies every Friday. How about that for an answer?
All right.
He was a movie freak. He went to that movie theater every Friday, and this was earlier because they got let out. It was 1 o'clock in the afternoon. He would have gone anyway that night. He did the same thing in Minsk. He went to the movies in Minsk every week. They had a wonderful movie theater in Minsk, and he was a movie freak like everyone else, and he went to the movies. I mean, that's what people do on Friday. And I know this sounds insane that I'm saying that he was a regular person. But
this might be the cat, Scottfold. That sounds.
What is
right.
that? What is? I never heard the name.
Scottfold, I think that's a big cat, a big headed. Are they gray? Because that sounds.
A lot of them are gray. A lot of them are gray.
Scottfold. That might be it. There's not that many cat breeds out there.
I've never heard that breed named, so.
I don't know.
It could be. I've never heard it. I don't know the name to say, so it doesn't matter what you say. I've never heard it, so Scottfold.
All right.
Scottfold.
A last Rumble rant. Kelling and Rude. Been watching since the beginning. Love, Mark.
Dude, I'm not even watching since the beginning.
So, but thank you. Thank you very much. And we're glad that you are watching, and we do appreciate it. And folks, the super chats help. I know it can be a lot and everything, but guess what? We are demonetized on this video.
No.
Shockingly.
Every week.
Yeah, it's getting old.
It's getting old. Who is doing this to us, and what are we doing? What did we talk about? We didn't talk about anything.
I might appeal this one.
Oh, thank you.
I mean, some of it is like, okay, well, we said see you next Tuesday a couple times early. We did this and that, so it's like, or we're talking about assassinations, you know. So,
right.
You know, sometimes the language or whatever. This one,
okay.
I don't think.
What did we say? We didn't say anything.
And that's why I'm like, you know what? I'm going to try appealing it because, unfortunately, this is the way YouTube works. If you appeal it and you're wrong, then they just start saying you were wrong an excessive amount of times, and then they can just demonetize the whole channel. So it's a really precarious thing, and
that sounds like that sounds American. That's a real American way. Is the thing being run by an Indian or an American?
It is being run in.
Well, this is why I have the JFK PayPal book fund and Venmo book fund for these books, because we could disappear and not have any funding for this entire operation. So if you want to make a donation for books specifically, my Venmo and PayPal addresses are below, and my email, text message, the Twitter X, whatever the hell it is, at Lord Buckley. You could follow me on Twitter at Lord Buckley or at X at Lord Buckley, and hopefully you'll get blocked.
Yes, everybody likes being blocked by Mark. We even have merch for that effect. I'm on Twitter.
Is that true? Is that
we have a block by Mark glass available.
Get out of here! Come on.
You can follow me as well at Hunley Eric. But most importantly, you can follow us at unstructured.locals.com. You can follow us there for free. If we do get yeeted, like people say, from YouTube or whatever, or a strike or anything, we can email you, get information, tell people what's going on, send out a notice. If you wish to support us, that's great. There's even more material there. It's inexpensive.
Tell $5 a month. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Go on about that.
$5 a month, $50 a year. And also, if you are a member of Locals, a supporting member, there is a very sizable $25 discount available for our meetup in Montgomery. And you can find that at erichunley.eventbrite.com.
There's only one Montgomery, right? There's not like a Montgomery, Pennsylvania. So it's Alabama.
It is Alabama still.
Oh, okay. All right. When do they find out where the event is?
We've been emailing. We've emailed everyone the event.
Oh, so they know where it is?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
And we'll probably be putting it, do another email again. But there's a handful of tickets left. It looks like it's going to sell out. Yeah, we're
It's dark, really dark. We're going to need a bigger venue next time, Hunley.
Yeah.
And now, to honor America, we need like things flying over and get stadium size. Maybe we'll rent the Civic Center.
And everybody comment below what city you would like to see us in next.
Yeah, I'm shocked that they wouldn't say their own city. Hey, I'm in Pittsburgh. How about Pittsburgh?
How about this? Name a city that is within
not yours,
range.
Right? Not yours. You can't name your own city
unless your city is something major like a Philadelphia or preferably something that has an airport that we can easily get into and out of with a lot of direct flights, things like that. If you want, and we're considering upcoming meetups. So
what? We haven't even had this one yet. This may be a debacle, Hunley.
That's why we're considering, and we're not committing. But we may be committed after doing this one. I don't know.
Look, I don't know if this is going to go. We're just trying this out. We kind of went to the Barnes and Viva one in Vegas to suss it out, and that went pretty smooth. That was pretty smooth. So, we're trying to copy that. We screw up, but we're two knuckleheads.
Birmingham, England. Yep.
Yeah, dude, I'm telling you, people do that. You just go, hey, I went to Birmingham, mate. You weren't there. Newcastle. Here it is. I know. That's why I said that. People are going to go, where? I'm here. Where are you, mate?
Yeah. Actually, this is one I've considered. Nashville is a possibility. That's pretty big. Yeah. But anyway, we always want to hear from you. Thank you very much. And we will see all of you on Tuesday. It'll be nuclear.
Oh, it'll be about nuclear stuff. That's for sure. Yeah.
Absolutely.
We're talking.